Townhall.com reports that Judge James Boasberg in D.C. has put forth several new deadlines for the administration, demanding accountability to him in a question of how legally binding were his verbal instructions last weekend to return the flights of the deportees to the U.S. while already airborne. The controversy has already engaged the Chief Justice, rebuking the president's suggestion that the judge be impeached, something a Texas Republican congressman is already pursuing. President Trump, meanwhile, posting on his Truth Social last night his position that, quote, Judge James Boasberg is doing everything in his power to usurp the power of the presidency, unquote. George Williams reporting.
Raging fire in an electrical substation has closed London's Heathrow Airport, shutting one of the world's busiest air travel hubs, affecting hundreds of flights. Counterterrorism investigators say no sign of foul play. Have an international flight? Check with your airline. America's top diplomat says the Iranians have been put on notice. Secretary of State Rubio says President Trump is warning Tehran against supplying arms to the Yemen-based Houthi rebels.
You know, the one thing about President Trump is when he says things, he means it. And this effort is not a one-day thing. It's been going on now every night. It's been sustained, and it'll continue until they no longer have the capability to threaten not just the U.S. Navy, but global shipping. At the same time, the president's been clear. Iran is going to be held responsible for any assistance they continue to provide the Houthis.
Secretary Rubio on the Salem Radio Network's Hugh Hewitt Show reports that Russia is actively seeking more troops from North Korea for deployment to Ukraine. Wall Street head of this morning's opening bell. The Dow futures are down 272 points. The NASDAQ futures off 176. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Important Social Security news. President Trump's Doge chief, Elon Musk, says Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. And he says there's so much fraud, it's the big one to eliminate. Now, Rob Finnerty is on Newsmax tonight, warning that your Social Security could be in danger. Already, Doge is slashing half the Social Security offices across the nation. Rob Finnerty says that's wrong. Millions will find their benefits denied. You paid into Social Security all your life. Now, Rob Finnerty exposes the lies about Social Security and why it must be protected. Watch Rob's special series on the dangers to Social Security at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Find Newsmax on all major cable systems or download the free Newsmax app. Millions of Americans are switching to Newsmax because it's news they can trust. It's real news for real people.
Pressed by President Trump to do more to fend for themselves, European leaders looking to do just that.
EU leaders have now committed to 2030 as the date by which they want a transformation of the bloc's ability to defend itself. Many see this as a once-in-a-generation moment. The leaders want legislation to start turning European Commission proposals into action. Plans include loosening EU fiscal rules on debts and deficits to raise an estimated $700 billion for extra defence spending. And the Commission would raise up to $160 billion more on the markets to lend to EU member states for the same purpose.
The BBC's Danny Aberhart. Taiwan's president says the island's defense budget will exceed 3% of its economic output as it overhauls its military in the face of a rising threat from China. Boosting defense spending, just part of Taiwan's plan for countering the Chinese threat. Townhall.com. President Trump is following through on a pledge to eliminate the Department of Education.
We're going to be returning education very simply back to the states.
To do that in full, though, may not be so quick. Congress created the department in 1979, and it may take another act of Congress.
The Democrats know it's right, and I hope they're going to be voting for it, because ultimately it may come before them, but everybody knows it's right.
Meantime, the White House says the agency will keep performing certain critical functions, covering funding for low-income schools, Pell Grants, and money for children with disabilities. Ben Thomas, Washington.
The most recent eruption episode of Hawaii's Kilauea volcano has ended after sending fountains of lava hundreds of feet into the sky. The U.S. Geological Survey says lava fountain heights reached 700 feet during yesterday's episode. Thankfully, no residential areas were affected. More on these stories at townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man on this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The Travelician, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning, one and all. Welcome to Mornings with Mike Winters. I am he. That would be me, Mike Winters. Happy Friday. Happy pleasant weather Friday.
Yes.
It is going to be, not only is it Friday.
Last Friday only garnered one bell ring. You get multiples today. It's going to be so nice.
A plethora.
A plethora of bell rings.
I'll do the Porky Pig. A cornucopia.
A cornucopia.
And people are like, who's Porky Pig? All right, but happy Friday, nonetheless. Whatever reference you get, happy Friday, nonetheless. Welcome to the free weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hope everyone's got, of course, a lot going on. There's a baseball tournament in MMI. There's boxing, the Golden Gloves boxing this weekend. So there's a bevy of activities going on. But get out and about and do it. Tomorrow is, they've issued a fire weather watch. But the winds are like 15 to 20 the high winds. So
that's not bad.
Right? Right?
Right. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Compared to the 101 mile per hour winds that southeastern New Mexico was experiencing last week.
Right.
I'll accept it.
That's a 15 now.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of stuff going on. Get out and about this weekend and do your thing.
Golden Gloves boxing, I believe, begins this evening.
Yes.
Continues tomorrow.
Roswell High. You can get your tournament passes or day passes there. Tell your out-of-town friends and family it will be available at ksvptv.com. They'll have their special Golden Gloves channel. Matter of fact, if you go there now, it'll be right there in your face. Big, right there. It's prominently featured on the website at the moment. So
tail of the tape.
Yeah.
All that good stuff.
Yeah, so we got that going on. Hey,
Yes.
I stumbled on a thing this morning, and it's kind of got me fascinated.
Okay.
And I can't spend too much time on it because I got some interviews. Real quick, we're going to replay an interview with Amy McVeigh-Tejas from the Historical Society. She joined us on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to replay our interview we had yesterday with Deputy District Attorney Hunter Spindle. I had a great conversation with him. And then, unfortunately, that's normally Bill Williams' slot to talk county biz, but he's unavailable. We're going to get him on next week.
Gotcha.
So, he shot me a text yesterday saying, sorry for late notice, but no can be there tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So. And then in the 9 o'clock hour, although I said 7:15 again on my paper, I just noticed 7:15 second time.
Nice.
We're going to have Elliot Rodriguez. Hope Jocelyn caught that. With Loan Depot, he's going to join us here, and he may bring one of his newest loan officers too. So
Nice.
We'll see. I'm going to take a stab in how much work he's got the new loan officer doing. But you got a lot to do. You stay here. I'll go be on the road. All right, we'll talk with Elliot from Loan Depot here in the 9 o'clock hour. But so the thing that got me piqued my curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
One of my people I follow on social medias and things, a podcast. There's a radio guy from the DC area I kind of listen to. He did a pilgrimage to a town in West Virginia, Point Pleasant, West Virginia.
Okay, Point Pleasant.
And I didn't know he went there for. Have you heard of the Mothman?
I've heard of the Mothman. Yes.
If you remember, do you remember the movie in
Mothman
02?
Prophecies?
Yes,
Yeah.
it had Richard Gere.
Uh-huh.
I think Deborah Messing, Will Patton. Y'all even know who that is? He was the bad guy in The Postman. I think he was one. He's in a lot of Costner movies. I feel like he was in Waterworld too. He's in a lot of Costner movies.
Okay.
But anyway, that movie.
Uh-huh.
Well, I just thought that was kind of a neat movie, and they said based on. No, like there was in the late '60s, this town in West Virginia, they had the Mothman problem, and it basically they say this thing predicted the collapse of a bridge there in town that killed 50 people, and all of this is like true lore there, and. Well, apparently in the town of Point Pleasant, there's like a Mothman museum, Mothman statues, markers to where the statue or where the bridge collapsed. It's a thing. It's like for real. And I'm like,
so the plot of the movie says,
yeah, the movie's not the story. The movie is based loosely on that. So that's
well,
not
it says a journalist whose wife experienced a strange moth-like vision immediately before she was killed in a car accident. 2 years later, driving to an interview, he suddenly finds himself hundreds of miles out of the way in a remote town of Point Pleasant, where the town has been a proliferation of Mothman sightings. His research concludes the visions are omens of disaster.
Yeah, so the movie's not about the 60s story.
Right.
But it's based off of the legend from the 60s.
That's crazy.
And it's basically, the cursory reading I've done on it was like, I guess there was some grave digging going on in 1966, and then when they were digging the grave, this thing shot out of it, and then it basically foretold of a bridge collapse there in town, and this, and then it collapsed, and people were like, "Whoa, man, what's going on?"
What's in it for you to dig up a grave? I've never understood the grave digging.
I didn't get enough research on saying why was people out digging a grave in the first place.
Like in Egypt, you know, I understand tomb raiding, but I'm not saying I'm going to do it. I'm just saying I understand. But I don't understand digging into a grave. You're not going to like what you find down there.
To be honest, part of it is, I think, a tweaker mentality. Maybe. And what I mean by that is the grave robbing thing. There are people that are so desperate for money know that people sometimes bury their dead relatives.
Sometimes. That's what I'm saying.
But that's to juice is worth the squeeze. This is the same reason why people went out to California to go look for little golden flecks in the river.
So what you're saying is the spirit of the American explorer is the reason we grave rob.
We always look for yes, I'm telling you, it's the same id. It's the same id. They're looking to make a buck, and they think, you know what? There's a bunch of old dead people down there with expensive jewelry on them and all this other stuff.
That's the best answer I've ever heard. Why do people dig graves? Western exceptionalism.
I honestly think that's something in that id. We just gotta, if we can find a way to, and in their head they think it's a fast buck.
Yeah.
Because they're like, look, I don't have to go to school or think or you know what I mean. I just got to be willing to dig into a grave.
I'm not even somebody that really believes in like the supernatural.
Yeah.
Still though, I want that kind of juju.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's got to be something off kilter to begin with. So when you're thinking of people not thinking rationally,
right? I'm not in the mindset of somebody who would, rip up an air conditioner unit to get the copper inside. I understand that's not how my brain works, but I feel like of all of the places that you could potentially find, some monetary value, the last place I would think is a grave. Not to mention the fact that you ever dug a hole? That's hard. It is hard work to dig a hole.
And I gotta feel like the first time they thought this idea up, they didn't think of those things.
Right.
And and I don't know if this was, and who knows? I don't know this. Like, I don't know. I didn't read. I just literally found this part out.
Right.
5 minutes before on air because I just scrolled upon something. I'm like, wait, this is real? What? No way. And I was kind of now I'm wearing PTQ. Part of me wants to go next time I'm back family and maybe take a trip over to West Virginia.
Maybe take a shovel and see what's happening down there. I might be able to cause another bridge to collapse.
I'd be very curious to see. I'm very sure it's similar to, I don't know. The pictures look kind of cool, but I'm sure it's like very similar to come see the biggest ball of twine.
Oh, right. Yeah, probably.
And all that. But my interests are piqued. So, and do some internet digging. It's kind of interesting, this town and everything in this story. And I just thought that movies from the early 2000s was just,
just a
fun
thriller
old story. And I'm like, oh man, this actually has steeped in history. And by the way, it's in West Virginia.
That's crazy.
Which, West Virginia, they always got weird things coming out of West Virginia.
They do.
People are different there. Belinda.
That's one way to put it. People are different there. Yep.
Belinda. She's not listening, but she's from West Virginia. I always give her a hard time. All right, let's do this. It is 7:15. Let's talk about the very nice weather today, and I hate weather for the rest of the weekend.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. Things look pretty good today. We'll be getting sunshine, high pressure settling in over the southwest for a while. Mid to upper 70s on the afternoon high. We'll dip into the upper 30s overnight and clear. A little bit more breezy on Saturday, but not bad. Lots of sunshine, and we'll warm up a little bit too. Mid 80s on the high. Just a few clouds on Saturday night, partly sunny, and 80 on Sunday. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently, 34 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity's at 32%. Winds out of the northwest at 5 miles per hour. Today, beautiful. Sunny skies, 79 for a high today. Winds out of the northwest, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Shifting to the southwest this afternoon. Beautiful. Clear skies tonight. Overnight low of 38 degrees. Southwest winds 5 to 10. For your Saturday, sunny and 86 with northwest winds 5 to 10 early, later increasing 15 to 20 out of the west. They also have issued a fire weather watch for tomorrow. That's set to begin at noon and remain in effect through 8 p.m. tomorrow. Tomorrow night, mostly clear, overnight low of 48 degrees, west winds 15 to 20, gusting as high as 30 miles per hour. Winds will drop down 10 to 15 after midnight. Sunday, mostly sunny and a high of 80. Northwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour, so darn right pleasant on Sunday as well. Sunday night, partly cloudy with an overnight low of 43. And then looks like next week, 83 and sunny on Monday, 86 and sunny on Tuesday. Wednesday, 81 and partly cloudy. Chance of rain on Thursday with a high of 80. They don't mention things about winds yet either, so cross your fingers. All right, 7:17, we're going to take a 3.5 minute break, and then we're going to play our interview here that we had with Amy McVeigh-Tejas from the Historical Society. Don't go away.
Artesia Rodeo Days is heading to the Artesia Horse Council Arena at the Eddy County Fairgrounds March 27th, 28th, and 29th. Gates open at 6 p.m. and the rodeo begins at 7:30 nightly. Enjoy front row family fun, a calf scramble for the kids, trick riding, the rankest bulls and broncos on the circuit, as well as full concessions, food trucks, and vendors, and New Mexico's own Blackcock Brewery on site. Help them pack the house every night at the upcoming Artesia Rodeo Days, coming to the Artesia Horse Council Arena at the Eddy County Fairgrounds March 27th, 28th, and 29th. Gates open at 6 p.m. Rodeo starts at 7:30 nightly. Thank you to sponsors KC Light Towers, Amigo Machinery in Roswell, Benny's Western Store in Artesia, and Tape Branch Artesia. Early bird tickets are only $10 and available in Artesia at Benny's Western Store and Tape Branch, in Roswell at Amigo Machinery, and in Carlsbad at Forest Tire. Gate tickets will be $15, or you can find them online at rodeoticket.com. And paid for by Artesia Lodgers Tax.
At Richland Motors, it's never been easier to sell or trade your current car, truck, or SUV for a newer model to hit the road in. Even if you don't purchase from Richland, they want to buy your vehicle for top dollar. But if you do buy from Richland, don't forget, they're the home of the powertrain warranty for life. That's a whole lot of confidence for you. See Richland for details. 2nd and Sycamore and 1309 Southeast Main.
This is the time of year we can get all 4 seasons in just one day. Hi, this is Ben Manette from Roswell Seed Company. 1 minute you're sweating in the sun, and the next minute you've got slush in your shoes. But that's winter in Roswell, and after 127 years, we're starting to get used to it. It's too early to plant very much, but you can fertilize pecan trees, spray for dandelions, order your bees, and pick up a new seed catalog. So come see us at Roswell Seed. Like Jim Gill would say, enjoy the warm days, but don't go far from the fire.
Picture this. You're behind the wheel of a John Deere compact tractor. You're effortlessly breaking ground, moving piles of rocks just by moving a lever, and enjoying the sun as you clear brush across your pasture. We could keep trying to put you in the moment, but to really understand what this feels like, you just have to get in the seat.
Stop by Pecos Valley Equipment in Artesia and Roswell, or visit us online at pecosvalleyequipment.com.
In a medical emergency, every second counts. Artesia General Hospital's emergency department is open 24/7, staffed with highly trained professionals ready to provide life-saving care when you need it most. Don't wait. When minutes matter, trust Artesia General Hospital. Quality emergency care close to home. Learn more at artesiageneral.com.
Hi, everyone. This is Melanie from Glenn's Furniture. I'm the third generation in this legacy that began with hard work and bold dreams. From Grandpa's footprints in the concrete to floor tiles laid in the 50s by my dad, Bill. Every detail of this building is a testament to our pride in providing quality furniture and service to you. On your quest for making your home beautiful and comfortable, come see us at Glenn's on the corner of Union and Alameda, where delivery is free since 1953.
Are your kids riding safely? Did you know 3 out of 4 car seats are used incorrectly? Car seat inspection events happen all around New Mexico, free of charge by the NMDOT Traffic Safety Division. Certified child passenger safety technicians give parents and caregivers personal instruction on installation and use of your car seat. Make sure your kids are safe passengers. Go to safernm.org to find an event near you. Brought to you by this station and the NMBA.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. China has more English speakers than the United States. They have more Chinese speakers, too. Here's Mike Winters.
Southeast New Mexico hat this morning. Amy McGate is back with us. But I'm not going to lie, we may slip into, Leadership Roswell or whoever knows. It might happen. But we're here to talk historical side this morning. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning. Good morning.
But I'm not going to lie, we may slip into Leadership Roswell
character
or
counts
or Youth Challenge or any other thing.
That's
might
right.
happen.
That's right.
But, of course, first off, I know it's not like on the surface, it may not seem, but to be honest, this is a very busy time of year for Historical Society. We're in the midst of the fourth grade tours.
We just completed those. We just completed those. The weather only got to us for one school,
which is not
well,
bad,
actually a couple of schools. So we're going to make it up and we're going to do a little something. But for everybody that supported our fourth grade school tours. It just gets better every year, and I didn't want to say this until it's done, and now it's pretty much done.
You don't want to jinx anything.
We had such a great response. We had a little girl.
Good.
I love when I see a Monterey student calling our museum at 3:05 because they had the tour that day, and I said the first applicant gets a gift, and they're there at the museum before 3:30 with her brother saying, this is the best trip ever. So we're impacting lives. We're celebrating history. And Mike, I was just talking to you off the radio. If some Debbie Downer out there thinks we're not doing things and impacting lives, I think you need to show up at the museum more because we really are. Yes.
Anybody that says that's not enough going on or you should do this.
What's going on or we should do things
that,
different.
Then guess what? Make a trip on down and you know what? Come be a part of us. Come volunteer. Come work in the archives. Come work as a docent. Come work on a committee somewhere. Come serve on the board. Whatever it is, we
couldn't be more proud of our board.
Yeah.
And I think that we as a board are evolving, and we want to be better, and that's what's going to make us better.
Sure.
And our leader Jason Garcia is right there to make us better. But I can't be more proud of what we're doing.
And we have a unique mission with the Historical Society. It's one of these things because what we do is important. We're preserving history. We're recording history. We're trying to keep history around so the next generations have it here. It's a very important mission, in my opinion. It's something that's very... But here's the deal. Our mission isn't like other places. We're not like Harvest Ministries. We're not like the Salvation Army. We're not an organization that's treating like physical needs per se. We do it offshoot, but like our mission really isn't to serve food to people or to make sure someone has. I mean, we do these things as part of our and so sometimes when people look at us as a nonprofit, they look at us like, well, quite frankly, the Salvation Army guys could probably use the money more in the historical. And you know what?
And we embrace everybody.
And I'm not arguing that. You're probably right.
Yes.
But what I want to tell you is the mission that we do at the Historical Society it does encapsulate more than just being a museum.
No, that is right.
And I think that's probably the misnomer is most people think we're just a museum.
Right.
And I'm like, that's
true.
part of it. But we're active in Amy, like, which we're about to talk about scholarships here in a minute.
Right.
You know, this is that time of year where we're trying to get kids into schools. We're trying to cement the future.
When the light bulbs come on with the little fourth graders and a little kid, Mike, says, I never realized apple juice came from an apple.
Yeah, exactly. Or
That's
how
little
butter's made.
things,
Or like,
but you know what? It's a little thing that evolves into something great, validating.
And with kids, you're throwing everything at them to
Oh,
see what
we
their
do.
interests are.
In an hour and a half, we throw all this.
And so I'm hoping at the end of the day, there's some fourth graders that come out of this thing and they end up being the next John LeMay.
They are
or
really
the next,
fired up.
Yes. Or the next, even if they're not directly in history, they have a passion or a hobby for it.
Well, and I'm happy to say, Mike, we had Jacob, our intern that works with John. He was there every day for school tours. Yeah. And then we're making these connections with these kids. Yeah. Why is this high schooler here? Well, and then the Strange family. All these teens are involved doing great things, working with us.
And history does, in some respects, have the same problem that STEM does. Whereas kids and things may gravitate to history because it just sounds like boring dates and details and all that.
Then they
much like STEM, they think, this math formula is. But once you realize what you can create with it or what it really means, then history's everybody.
It's
that's
really
that's what we're doing. History is not, on 1776, a bunch of old people signed a document. It's more than that. History's everything. When you're on Facebook, guess what you're doing? History.
For sure.
You're trying to get the details, the scuttlebutt, what's going on. Yes. And, that's history. Guess what? Just because it's not ancient history, or, you know what I mean, does not make it history.
Right. Well, even partnering with the Roswell Library on, we're scanning in and have the honor to work with Enid on yearbooks. Mm-hmm. That's history. We're scanning in history. And long-term goal is we'll have all the yearbooks, the part of Travis County, through the library. And that is, we're being just one little part of it. And I think the important thing I want everybody listening to know is never, ever, never do we have the intention to make it all about us.
Sure.
It never is. We are just that super connecting opportunity.
The home to house the thing to put the spotlight on the thing that we want to put the spotlight on.
And one thing we told our students, fourth graders, we gave them little armbands to make your mark in history, because I think you've got an armband around here that's a little bit different. That's new and improved. Mike. It's fun. Oh, yeah, it's right here. But what our goal is to have history clubs at every school in Travis County.
Absolutely.
And fun things. And the kids are coming to us with connecting with that history, because I think we have the opportunity here.
And to be honest, I will say in a slightly selfish way, these kids are the future board members, executive directors, the future folks that are going to carry the Historical Society forward into the next generation.
And I think that little puzzle of all schools thinking, it's not about you being on the bad side. It has nothing to do with that. They realize they're part of this puzzle. And technically, this Lincoln County, now it's had Travis County, same thing. We're all one. Yes.
And this begat this. You wonder why we do things a certain way. Well, guess what? There is a tradition to it. There's a thing to it. And guess what? The Historical Society probably can take you down a path to see the origins of something, or why we do a thing the way we do, why the customs are the way we are here. This is why when we always bring John on, and he always does, and every time he does his books on, and a lot of times, especially when he does his books about, just culture, old culture, whether it's like witchcrafty type stuff, but it's all a history to it, and why did they
take the different spin, pulling you in,
and that's what is awesome about the state of New Mexico that most people don't realize is because because it's been so many different cultures that have touched this state. From Mexicans and Incas and Aztecs to Spaniards to Native Americans to the white man. Everything that's come as part has really created a very unique hodgepodge culture that is New Mexico. We are as infused in Native as in Spanish, as in Mexican, as in white culture. All of it is an equal representation in some way, shape, or form in New Mexico.
And I just got emails since I was waiting for you outside. Yeah. And I had just gotten an email from Donna Blake Birchall in Carlsbad. I just got an email from Lincoln County and then Lane County. That's since we've been sitting here. And I think our intentional effort is just to get the history out and
as
have fun with it.
Grow up here, and this is what I think is neat, because I grew up in D.C. in Maryland, where you can throw a rock and hit a museum and history is everywhere, but it's all at the end of the day U.S. history. You know what I mean? It's about, either revolution or civil war. For the most part, it's our history of America.
Right. Yes.
And when I came to New Mexico, I didn't think much of, I'm like, what kind of history, Civil War.
It's different.
You know what I mean?
Well, and it's different.
And then when I got here, I was like, holy cow. At the end of the day, the history and culture is way deeper in New Mexico than anything you're going to see on the East Coast. And because we didn't settle this in modern times as more recently as that area, people don't think. And I'm like, no. When you go to Santa Fe and you're seeing churches that are the oldest buildings in this country,
yes,
and I think you wrap your head around that. There's literally buildings that have been here before we even thought of a White House or a Capitol building or a Washington Monument or any of these iconic buildings we look at today. These buildings like hold my beer. I was 300 when that one came out.
Right. No, it is. It's so true. It is.
So that's what I try to tell people and say, this is what the Historical Society is. It celebrates all of this. It brings it as a place where people can come and learn about it if they want to, or it's there for what the next generation to do.
That's right.
And we're constantly evolving and adding to it. And that's why our archives is, we're very limited space, but there's so much there because we want to chronicle these high school, in theory, we'd love to. If you went to high school in Chaves County, guess what? We could probably find your yearbook picture.
That's
that's what we're, that's the kind of stuff we want to have. So when you do come someday, your kids are here. It's like, remember when we used to do fourth grade tours? And when I was a kid, here's the history of that right here. Or of course, the people we talk about before, some of the names, the Elvis Flemings, the names you see on various parts of the Historical Society. These are the people that set the table for us and see what we got here. It is now our job to keep those Elvis's traditions and some of these other traditions going. And really, your Donnas and your Johns, these are the folks that are doing it. And that's why I love having them coming in and talking on books. But guess what? The kids sitting in Roswell High and Goddard High and Artesia High and Dexter High, they're the next John LeMays. They're the next Donna Blake Birchells. They're the next people, the next Amy McVeigh Teases that are going to be rowing in this show. These are the people, the next Jason Garcias. These are the folks that are going to keep it so when you or your kids want to come and learn about the history of New Mexico, there's a place for it. And that's what we do. And I know it doesn't necessarily put food in people's bellies or give people sleep at night. But you know what? When all that hits the fan, guess what we're doing? She's out working in any way, shape, or form. Do we need to? I'm telling you right now, the Historical Society, when floods hit, when all that, we were collecting toilet paper and supplies. We weren't collecting donations for historical.
When the fires have happened.
And when the fires happen.
And when we're serving
disaster
food
strikes,
and doing things.
We pitch in our server's heart, and we do take a backseat to history.
Right.
It's always in our forefront.
Right.
But
we're celebrating
guess what?
history,
we also
but we're
recording
we're celebrating history, but we're getting our hands into
and
things.
Guess what?
And
20 years from now, people say, what happened to that flood of 24? Guess who's going to have the stuff for it?
Right.
It's going to be us.
That's right.
And this is what we do.
That's right.
And so we'd love for you to support it by participating as a volunteer, by making donations, by becoming a member. Serving as a volunteer in any way.
Oh, sure.
And like when we kind of started this conversation, if you think we're doing it wrong, rather than take your pot shots online, come on down and get in the dirt with us and say and help and where we're doing it wrong, show us. Because guess what? Well, if we're right, we'll fix it. Because the last thing we want to do is do it wrong.
Oh, for sure.
But I might find out is maybe what you think we're doing wrong might be like you just don't see all the angles. Like something might look wrong from your perspective until you see all perspectives. And now you're like, now I understand why you do that. And 99% of the time, when you're mad about something on Facebook or social media or whatever, you peel back a layer of that onion, you're going to be like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. And that's all I'm saying is
sure.
And I get it. It's fun. It's fun to go off half cocked and start yelling and just, creating scorched earth there. I get it. But, once you peel back a layer, you're going to probably end up feeling foolish, and then you got one of two options. You either have to backtrack and walk or ride your stupidity to the end. And we have people that are just dumb enough to do that. So don't do that.
Well, and I think at the end of the day, our board has made an intentional effort. We will continue to see this glass half full. and reach out and impact lives through celebrating history, extending our arms to people like Caroline Brooks, battling the battle that they are. And I'm going to sit with her this afternoon. And, you know, whether you're with your Roswell Museum, and that's something else, ladies and gentlemen. If you think museum, when I say one museum, I want to say 7. And somebody the other day said, oh, we don't have 7. Oh, no, we do. The Roswell Museum and others that may have had to close, they're living.
There might be more than 7.
Well, you're exactly right.
I feel like there's a few small ones we're missing.
That hidden treasures.
Yeah.
So I think our family is rich and true and large, and we're stronger together, and we're resilient together, and which leads me into the Art and M event coming up that I know that Caroline was on the radio for you in April the 12th, and that's actually part of the Teen Leadership Institute weekend. But again, we're doing weekend. Things. It's busy, but thinking about things, just rattling things off because they're rolling. You know, Mike, watch out because my brain is rolling. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a quick ride. So tomorrow it's spring break. If you're home and you're cleaning and you're doing things, get up early, stop by the museum. We're going to be at the pole at 9 o'clock.
Yes.
Pray with us at the pole, and then go eat your breakfast and enjoy this great community. On Thursday, blood drive from 12 to 4. We've got spots available.
So we do have some
and I
openings
just got a call this morning that somebody's unable to because they've got somebody. So an extra. So call. You can make life easy. Text me at 575-915-4471 saying, hey, Amy, I'd be happy to save a life together with Historical Society donating blood. And I get that. I always hear that people can't say, oh, I can't donate blood. Okay, then call somebody that you know will.
I get it. If you're at certain meds and certain things, you're not allowed to.
And if you're too busy, say, Amy, I don't have Amy, I don't have time to just text 575-915-4471, and we'll get you signed up to donate blood.
And I also get, because Historical Society is one of them. There's the Vitalant. Thank God they have them.
Yes.
Regular. I guess partners that every 3 months, like clockwork, they're going to have their blood drive.
We already have ours next one booked
and
for
we
August.
Are one of those. And I get it. So sometimes people are like, no, I always go do mine at so-and-so church or whatever.
Right,
awesome.
That's perfect.
But what I'm saying is if you don't, or perhaps, your schedule got off kilter, and I'm saying come out here on this week to the Historical Society, get in on that. And here's the thing, and I'm not trying to brag, but I'm going to brag. Amy don't let you just go in there, donate blood.
Oh, yeah, we have unique things. For the first 5, we have unique things. Yeah. And we just have a spot open, so the first 5 people that come, they're going to get really cool things.
Yeah, she gives you swag. You get, you leave out of there probably more in your hand than you left with.
Oh, it's really fun. We have fun things, different things.
You donated a pint of blood, but you're walking away with 10 more things.
Oh, yeah, bag in hand. I love it. Bag in hand with a smile and then impact
if you
on
want
lives.
a little extra perk, a little extra swag with your donation,
for sure.
Maybe make an appointment as part of our group. And, of course, if you've never done it, come go. It's really easy. And I will offer you this. If you want to, if you're in a rush, if you go to Vitalant's website, you can kind of pre-register and answer all like the questions they ask.
Knock it out.
And so when you roll in there, you literally, they check in and then they roll up your sleeve and get to work.
That's exactly right.
So if your time is narrow, you can do a lot of, especially if you're a first-time donor. If you're a regular, it really is like check-in. But for your very first time, they want to know a little bit about you. They want to know your medical history, making sure you're eligible to donate, and so forth.
Do your homework.
They do have some, obviously there's certain medical conditions, and I think if you visited certain parts of the world within a certain amount of time or recently, that does disqualify you too.
For
so
sure.
they got to whittle through that first. And once they do that, then it's game on. But you can do that in advance online at Vitalant's website. That way you don't have to wait an extra 30 minutes doing all that.
That's exactly right. Well, I'm thinking about it also. I'm actually going out to New Mexico Youth Challenge Academy this week. Their amazing new group that will be graduating in June. I can't believe they're halfway. Oh my goodness.
Graduation.
So
like
if
next
you're listening, scholarships. So let's talk about scholarships. The deadline's 28th for applications for high school seniors offering humanities. Yes. We're offering scholarships, $1,250 scholarships in humanities, STEM, and character. And if any pertain to your apply, you can apply for more than one. That's for high school seniors. Continuing education. Any individual.
This is the second year or third year we've been doing that now?
Thanks.
Third year? Okay.
Yes, but continuing ed. Continuing ed means that you are enrolled in a trade school or college.
Yeah.
You can be 18, you can be 50, you can be 60.
Absolutely.
There's no age barrier.
Only
as long as you're
requirement is
enrolled. That's exactly right, because it'll ask for your transcript.
You got a semester or two under your
That's
belt.
right.
Yeah, that's it.
If you want to log on to RoswellNMHistory.org, information. There's no paper applications. They're all going to be Google Docs. I know they're operating and functioning because, Mike, we've got a healthy list already.
Awesome.
We have a lot of applicants, so nothing would make me happier is a listener to say, you know what, I would be thrilled to become a scholarship member of the society and making another scholarship opportunity, whatever.
The Hayes family has been a huge beacon
Troy
and
would
example
love it.
for this, and nothing would make him happier is to other donors glom on to help.
Oh, for
out.
sure.
So
And
that would
it's,
be
you know,
a perfect thing
when we
we'd love to
mention
have.
Troy Hayes, whether you're the Morgan Nelson family, whether you're the TSI Family Fund, whether you're dairy producers in New Mexico, whether you're so many others, the Jennings family, so many others have hopped on to this. So, and I know one thing is for sure, if Troy's listening, he's probably working. It's not just about them.
Yeah, when he's not donating,
it's about
he's
a
hustling.
family. That's right. It's about the family of giving, not about one
Absolutely.
individual, and it
so,
is.
So yes, if this inspires you to also donate a grand or whatever you can afford, that would be
Yes.
amazing.
Any amount.
Because
Any
I'm
amount.
going to tell you right now, all the applicants are deserving.
Oh,
Almost every single one
yes.
of them are amazing applicants. And I'm telling you, the people on the committee do this every year. They have literally
It's a big
knockdown,
committee.
drag out, discussions on who's more deserving.
Spreadsheets, numbers.
And so it is, and to be honest, it's because it's you're asking people to pick their favorite kid, and you know how hard that is
Oh
to
my
do.
gosh.
It really is. It's you can't do it.
No.
So but that's what they're tasked with. So you do make it so much easier
Oh,
on
yes.
these folks when you say, you know what, here's an extra $1,000.
Yes.
Make sure that kid gets one.
And that's happened so often. And also, if you want to be part of the New Mexico Youth Challenge Academy, so we give scholarships for New Mexico Youth Challenge Academy twice a year. We'll give in June and December. If you would say, hey, I'd love to partner and support New Mexico Youth Challenge Academy and the amazing things they're doing out there, we're honored to be a part of the family of New Mexico Youth Challenge Academy.
Absolutely.
Getting out in that area has make me thinking about air races. We're developing quite a healthy, amazing volunteer team.
And we need more
The
if you want to be
Historical
on it.
Society team for the air races. Call the museum at 622-8333. We have the applications. We have the information about what it looks like to be a volunteer for the air races. But we're our family, the Historical Society family. We're going to be representing. We're going
Absolutely.
to have a lot of fun. So be part of our team.
And if
support
you haven't
the
done your
amazingness.
research yet on some of that air race stuff, they do require certain things you have to get
Yes.
done
Oh, for
to
sure.
be a part of it. And part
Yes.
of that is you got to have a base of volunteers at the ready.
Yep.
And so, so there is some legwork that we have to do. And so to be in, to making sure, and it makes sense because they don't want you signing up for this.
Oh,
and then the thing
good
comes
grief,
and we got
yes.
me and Bubba and that's it. We
Well,
can't do anything.
yes.
No, they want this all because it's a well-oiled machine, pardon the pun.
Oh, my goodness,
And
yes.
so they want to know exactly how many you got and what you can do so we can put that to maximum capacity.
Well, and that's history in the making. And a huge shout out to Roswell and every individual that allowed us this amazing opportunity. It's history in the making. We're going to volunteer, but we're going to be there. We have a lot of things going on, whether it's in the summer. Check our calendar. Go on the website, roswellnmhistory.org. We've got a lot of things going on.
Also, if you're looking for opportunity, COVID, even to this day has put a huge damper on like Sunday fun days and things. We've never really returned Sunday fun days like pre-COVID just because of the world we live in.
Well,
but if there's people that have interesting things, let's create a Sunday fun day for it. Maybe we're not doing them every Sunday. But if you're an author or if you're a historical person and you have a thing, reach out to us and say, I would love to do an event where people come and learn about. Reach out to us because we'd love to partner with
Well, a
them.
lot of organizations, we used to be part of the Tourism Council that no longer meets. It does not mean we're not. Well, and I wasn't even ahead of that, whether you're Jane Anglin, Elaine Mayfield and stuff. We're doing things different. But what I want people to know about this Sunday Fun Day deal, I think people got it hang up. I can be very honest. We could be doing things every month and 2 or 3 people would show up.
Exactly.
Or a couple of months we do something. So I need to remind people, different isn't always. There's so many organizations doing
I think
things
we need to
different.
treat it like a special event thing, where maybe
Well,
it's
it
once a
is.
quarter
Yes,
or whatever that is.
yes.
But because
And
I got to be honest, Sunday Fun Day, we were trying to get just to make sure we have something every Sunday. And quite frankly, just because we're interested in it, that means like 3. You know what I mean?
Well,
like
and others are doing things too. We've got a lot of the library and great people.
Yeah.
So let's.
So we'll do something with mass appeal.
We have insurance. We have things that look different too, and we respect rules and regulations too. Things look different, but different is okay too. But we've got a lot of projects.
We would love if you've got an idea for a great Sunday Fun Day event or a thing that we really could generate some interest. We would love to talk
and
about.
I think where we're going is that I don't even know that we need to say Sunday Fun Day anymore, because I don't even know if Sunday's the most convenient day. We have events coming up that may not be on a Sunday, and that doesn't mean we're failing on Sunday Fun Day.
Wednesday Fun Day.
Exactly. Sunday Fun Day doesn't have to be a Sunday Fun Day. It might be weekends and different things.
For a day off for most is a pretty regimented day.
Well,
obviously,
I
a lot
think,
of families it's church day, and so
I'm tied up all morning. A lot of
depending on the church, that's generally an all-day affair.
Sure. It could certainly can be.
And so, and then when you get football season, I don't care what anybody says, getting people to come on a Sunday afternoon thing during football season.
It's seasonal
really,
for different
really
things. That is right.
And so Sunday, by and large, is just an inconvenient day for most people, because people, if you have set plans on a day, Sunday's a day that seems to just garner those.
It's true.
It's not a what do you want to do day.
We embrace all opportunities.
Sure.
And while I'm thinking about all opportunities, I'm going to roll some things off real fast. I am part of Teen Leadership Institute. We're still needing sponsors because we have an amazing group of kids and we need that. Contact Damon Graham, Desi Aguilar for that.
Yeah, deadlines have passed for signups for the kids.
The selection has been completed. We're still needing sponsors.
Yeah, sponsorship
if you want
money,
to say, hey,
money,
we want to pay for the insurance and blessings like that, we've got good bags. If anybody even wants to donate things for our goodie bag treats on that. I'm also thinking about character counts. That's part of history too. Character counts to Travis County. Our events are coming up in April. If you want more information to be part of our council, part of the board, or to celebrate teachers and badges and on the badge and stuff, be part.
Seasons are coming up.
The seasons, and it's all part of history, because at the end of the day, when I think character counts, I think Alvin Jones. That's part of that continuing legacy.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is all history, and we need to continue that legacy.
And that's the beauty of it. Like, if you didn't grow up with in the Jones era, so to speak, and then you come in today and see a bunch of people with little bow ties, you're like, what's that?
What?
You know what I mean? But that's the good thing.
Bow tie
because
Tuesdays,
people say, why all these
keeping
people
that
wearing
legacy.
bow ties? And then, let me tell you about Mr. Jones here.
When Travis Ackerman has Bow Tie Tuesday at Valley View, that matters in that legacy, and he's
that's
so
why
part
I
of
love that stuff.
Yes.
And so because for people that know, they know. People that don't, hopefully it spawns them to ask what it's about and to learn about.
The archive facility is available for rental. Things you just need to get your own insurance policy. But call the museum for more information on renting the archives.
We do have a kitchen in there, so if you need to serve food, we got covered on that.
622-8333 for more information. And I sure have seen a lot of pictures being taken around our museum. That blooming tree is there. And
it is pretty season for the Historical Society.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Geocaching. Danielle Gonzalez was taking pictures, and she said, Amy, I didn't know we have geocache. Ladies and gentlemen, the Historical Society has geocache. And if you said we haven't talked about it, we have. We have so many things going on. I think people can't keep up with us.
Yeah.
So we have geocache. If you don't know what that is or want more information about that, call the museum 622-8333. We're part of an international connection with geocaching.
Okay.
So that's a big deal. Mike, let me tell you how big it is.
I got to learn a little bit about
Mike,
myself.
this is a big deal.
Is it something like that?
Geocaching. So we have a little box on the property by the cistern, and go online to geocaching. Mike, we had a woman fly into Roswell, have lunch, validated our geocache, and then headed back out of town. She literally stated, I don't have time to take a tour. I'm going to watch your video online. I really love this, but this is something bigger than what I realized. So geocaching is the thing. And even Danielle Gonzalez that takes pictures for everything, she had no idea about it. So if you want to know more about geocaching, it allows travels. Even we're in the grouping with Hawaii.
Okay.
So see, it's a large grouping. So log on to more. And I guarantee you one thing, if you need more specifics, I probably don't have all the answers, and I'm not ashamed to say I don't know. I have a number.
20-something to explain it.
I have the individual that knows, and will be happy to help you. So
that's
just
cool.
fun things.
Yeah,
just fun things.
To me, this seems like almost the high-tech version of like the painted rocks or something like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, and we've had that.
Yeah.
And then somebody was just asking me about, what is that Pokemon game or whatever?
Oh, yeah, Pokemon Go
if that's
and all
still a thing. Well, it was because somebody was talking
Yeah, oh,
about
yeah, they still
I
play.
learned all. Yes, for
Yeah.
sure. So all these fun things.
I don't think you see as many people walking around the courthouse lawn anymore. looking
That's
for
exactly
stuff, but
right.
it still
Museum
does
Day
happen.
is still a thing. We'll be talking more about that and so many
Absolutely,
things. We
yeah.
love this community and so many things going on.
Please come be a part of it.
Please
come
do.
out. RoswellNMhistory.org is our website.
Yep,
You can see
622-8333 for phone number.
if you want to learn more about the scholarships, and getting those things in. Of course, Mother's Day, Father's Day, all these holidays
books.
around the
We've
corners.
got
If
so
you're
many
looking for
books.
gifts,
Yes.
from anything from Peter Hurd prints
Yes,
to
Hurd prints.
local authored books.
Yep.
To most other cool stuff. We got it all.
Direct information to the archive facility, 622-1176. Anything you missed or want more information about it, historydirector@outlook.com. We're still collecting loose change. Hey, spring cleaning.
Yeah.
Spring cleaning. Collect your loose change. Give us a call. We'll pick it up.
Yeah.
Bring your loose change.
Yeah,
Every
or if
penny
you have
counts.
to be around town, want to drop
Yes,
we've had one in
peppers.
here. Ours is a little light because I don't get a lot of traffic, but
That's okay.
Drop. We got them
Yes,
here.
we've got
All you
one.
gotta
Yes, so many
come by
different
and do
areas.
it, so. Excellent. Well, thank you as always.
I appreciate you very much.
We'll see you next time.
Have a great day.
Again, folks, if you're looking for help, reach out. There's so many different, and if you want to help out with scholarship, we'd really love to have you. I would really like it to where we get as many of these kids money for college as humanly possible, because every single one of them usually deserve it at the end of the day.
That's right.
Their stories, what they tell. You're like, how can you deny this kid?
That's
This
our
kid's-
future.
Yeah,
It's part of our history. That's part of the legacy of the Historical Society.
absolutely. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, 9:56. Quick break before they kick me off the radio. Don't go away. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters. Off the radio. Don't go away. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters.
Now for a Pecos Valley news update, I'm Jared Sorello. We begin in Roswell today with a traffic alert. The city reminding drivers that pavement work is taking place through the end of this month in several areas. So today's work involves South Wyoming Avenue from McGaffey to Summit, West Hendrick Street from South Wyoming to Utah Avenue, West 4th Street from North Montana to North Wyoming, and North Louisiana Avenue from Highland to Riverside. Also East 8th Street from North Main to Virginia Avenue. During the work on each section, the sections will be closed to through traffic, but access will be provided for residents and businesses. 6 small earthquakes shook parts of southeast New Mexico on Thursday. The strongest tremor was recorded at 3.6 magnitude. That's according to the U.S. Geological Survey. That quake was centered just south of Hope, New Mexico at 4:17 a.m. Thursday. It was followed by a 3.4 magnitude shaker near the same location. This is, of course, a very remote area. No injuries or damage reports have been received. You're up to date. I'm Jared Sorello.
Ever want to record what's showing on your screen? Maybe it's a video call, a gameplay, or a series of steps to get something done. Well, you don't need to buy a separate app or program. Your computer already has a screen recorder built in. I'm Kim Commando for Oracle. You can cut your current cloud bill in half if you move to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. See if your company qualifies at oracle.com/Kim. Let's start with Windows. You probably don't know that Windows computers come with a terrific screen recording tool called Xbox Game Bar. Even though it's designed for gamers, it works for all sorts of purposes. You can record yourself in almost any Windows app, so it's ideal for anything you might need to record, say in Microsoft Office. On your Mac, it's just 3 keys. Hit Shift plus Command plus 5 to record the entire screen. In a toolbar that pops up, you can also select a portion of the screen to record. I use it all the time. Join 650,000 people who spend 5 minutes a day with my free newsletter to get tech ahead at getkim.com. Even if you think it's a bit overhyped, AI is suddenly everywhere, from self-driving cars to molecular medicine to business efficiency. If it's not in your industry yet, it's coming fast. But AI needs a lot of speed and computing power. So how do you compete without costs just spiraling out of control? It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. It's a blazing fast and secure platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, plus all of your AI and machine learning workloads. OCI costs 50% less for computing and 80% less for networking. Thousands of businesses have already upgraded. Oracle is offering to cut your current cloud bill in half if you move to OCI. Offer ends March 31st, 2025. See if your company qualifies for this special offer at oracle.com/Kim. That's oracle.com/Kim, oracle.com/cam. oracle.com/cam.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. Things look pretty good today. We'll be getting sunshine, high pressure settling in over the southwest for a while. Mid to upper 70s on the afternoon high. We'll dip into the upper 30s overnight and clear. A little bit more breezy on Saturday, but not bad. Lots of sunshine, and we'll warm up a little bit too. Mid 80s on the high. Just a few clouds on Saturday night, partly sunny, and 80 on Sunday. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
It's time for the Chavez County Sports Report. Got some scores yesterday from the Artesia baseball tournament. Both Goddard and Roswell were part of that. And Goddard taking on a team to start the day, Alamogordo, that was 7-1 coming in. But the Rockets get the win 8-2, and they will be taking on Lovington this afternoon at 4 o'clock. Marcos Rodriguez, 2 for 4 with a double. Winning pitcher Lucian Betancourt, 6 innings and 8 strikeouts. Meanwhile, Roswell wins in a shootout over Los Alamos, 10-8. Luke Lynn, 3 for 4 at the plate. He's a junior for the Coyotes. They'll take on host Artesia tonight at 7 o'clock. The Artesia softball tournament also going on, and Goddard wins. Talking about shootouts, the Lady Rockets win 14-13 over Bernalillo. Marisol Hernandez, a big day. Home run, double, 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs. The Sports Report brought to you by DSI. Call DSI for all your office technology needs. I'm Eric Butler at Roswell's Talk FM 106.5.
Get ready, Artesia. The main event car show and cruise is rolling into town Friday, March 28th and Saturday, March 29th, 2025. Friday night, we're kicking things off at 6 p.m. with the Main Street Cruise. Watch as classic cars, hot rods, and muscle cars take over Main Street, cruising by the decade. It's a moving history lesson with a whole lot more horsepower. Then Saturday from 9 to 3, downtown Artesia transforms into the ultimate car lover's paradise. Cars, trucks, motorcycles, bikes, even tractors. It's free family fun with music, friendly competition, and more. Want in on the action? Register your ride at artesiachamber.com or stop by 107 North First Street in Artesia. The main event car show and cruise, March 28th and 29th in downtown Artesia. Brought to you by the Artesia Car Enthusiasts, Artesia Chamber, and Artesia Main Street. Paid for by Artesia Luggage Tax.
Since the beginning of time, people have pondered the meaning of life. From philosophers to writers, even kings, this question has been asked time and time again. Solomon, the author of the book of Ecclesiastes, was no different. Chosen by God to lead the people of Israel and blessed with wisdom, wealth, and honor, he set out to understand the true meaning of life. In his writings, he reflects on the fleeting nature of earthly pursuits. Despite possessing everything the world could offer, he discovers that without a deeper purpose, all of it felt like vanity, or, in other words, chasing after the wind. Solomon concludes that life's meaning is not found in wealth, pleasure, or status, but in fearing God and keeping his commandments. Because while earthly pursuits are temporary, true fulfillment is found in devotion to God and living in alignment with his will. In essence, the purpose of life is found in living a life of purpose, centered on God's divine plan.
Join us at the Country Club Road Church of Christ for worship at 10 a.m. on Sunday, located on the corner of Country Club and Washington in Roswell.
Double Up Days are back at Roswell Honda, and that means double your down payment. $500 becomes $1,000. $1,000 becomes $2,000. Up to $2,000 means $4,000 towards your next new or pre-owned vehicle. Get 2.9% APR for 36 months on all new Ridgeline and Pilot, and 2.49% for 36 months on all new CR-V hybrids. Now's the time to make your dollars go even further. Double up and save during Double Up Days on now at Roswell Honda, 2177 West 2nd.
Renting your tuxedo has never been easier. At Hippie Chicks, we have name brands like Michael Kors, Kenneth Cole, Couture, Allurement, and Mod, all in ultra slim and slim fit styles to flatter every shape and size. Stay cool and comfortable with Performance Stretch and Cool Max technology, because men's formal wear should feel as good as it looks. And renting is easy for prom, graduation, and your end of school parties. Just choose your style, try it on, and return it hassle-free. And right now, order before April 1st for your chance to win $100 cash. Visit Hippie Chicks today, 802 South Main in Roswell. Look for the VW Buzz.
That new avocado slicer won't do you any good if you can't find it.
Top quality kitchen cabinets from Bush Woodworks are more than just beautiful. They keep things organized and make cooking more fun. Bush kitchen cabinets cost about the same as the box store, even less when you install them yourself. And we'll give you all the advice you need. So take it from James, the Cabinet King.
Come see us at Bush and let's get cooking.
At Richland Motors, it's never been easier to sell or trade your current car, truck, or SUV for a newer model to hit the road in. Even if you don't purchase from Richland, they want to buy your vehicle for top dollar. But if you do buy from Richland, don't forget, they're the home of the powertrain warranty for life. That's a whole lot of confidence for you. See Richland for details. 2nd and Sycamore and 1309 Southeast Main.
Your home for Coast to Coast AM in Roswell, 106.5, Roswell's Talk FM, KEND, Roswell, New Mexico.
By the closure of London's usually busy Heathrow Airport, an electrical substation burst into flames, cutting airport power. Police do not suspect sabotage, but that's not helping people reach their destinations.
Emma Fulton was at the airport. She had to reschedule.
We had to go to the Air India desk, which was a bit chaotic, but we got there.
One flight left Charlotte, North Carolina for London.
We are headed back to Charlotte. Let me tell you what's going on.
The pilot explained the situation.
The runways have lights, but there's no power at all at the terminals, and they are not accepting flights into London Heathrow.
Aviation consultant John Strickland says it will take several days to recover and compared it to a contained version of the reaction to the 9/11 attacks when airspace was quickly closed. I'm Ed Donahue.
DOE Chief Elon Musk stops by the Pentagon today. Posting on X, Defense Secretary Hegseth says his meeting with Musk will focus on innovations, efficiencies, and smarter production. President Trump setting the wheels in motion to shut down the Department of Education.
In some ways, this is just a formality. The Trump administration has already started work to pare back the education department. It's been cutting grants and contracts. It's been suspending and firing employees and looking for ways that they say they can cut waste and woke spending.
Correspondent Colin Binkley says Congress must sign off on the president's plan to shutter the agency, returning its responsibilities to states and localities. The National Transportation Safety Board ordering inspections and assessments of dozens of bridges in 19 states. Comes in the aftermath of the collapse of Baltimore's Key Bridge after it was hit by a cargo vessel last year. Stocks deep in the red on Wall Street. The Dow down 411 points, while the Nasdaq is off 128. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Here's an important message from the Diabetes Solution Center. Do you like pricking your fingers to test your blood sugar levels? No one does, but it's important to maintain your health. And now, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you don't need to prick your fingers anymore. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now. And if you have Medicare or most major insurance coverage, you may be able to get a new CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. Shipping is free, and we'll even bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now to learn how to end the painful finger sticks and get your own continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
A top Russian security official is visiting North Korea to meet with dictator Kim Jong-un after North Korea recently reportedly sent even more troops to Russia to support the war against Ukraine. Russia's state-run TASS news agency reports that Russian Security Council Secretary Sergei Shoigu arrived in Pyongyang and plans to meet with top North Korean officials, including Kim. No further details, including what Shoigu would discuss with Kim. North Korea state media confirms the arrival of a Russian delegation led by Shoigu. Senator Steve Daines, Montana, visiting Beijing as the U.S. and China swap tariff threats and harsh words over each other's handling of the illegal fentanyl trade. The Republican senator arrived in the Chinese capital just yesterday, this after a meeting with top officials in Vietnam. Daines, a steadfast ally of President Trump. News and analysis, townhall.com. Are they happening more, or are we just hearing about them more? Another troubling aviation-related incident.
A Southwest Airlines flight almost took off from a taxiway rather than a runway at a Florida airport Thursday, right before an air traffic controller stopped the plane, and passengers departing Orlando International Airport were accommodated on another aircraft heading to their destination in Albany, New York. Southwest Flight 3278 had been cleared for takeoff and initiated a takeoff roll on the taxiway after the crew mistook the surface for the nearby runway. Jason Walker reporting.
He murdered an 8-year-old girl and her grandmother back in 1993. 63-year-old Edward James has been executed in Florida. No final statement from James before the lethal injection was administered last night. More on these stories, townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man on this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The travel listen, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 8 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 2.
The Deuce
of Mornings with Mike Winters, right here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM. Happy Friday.
Mm-hmm.
It always goes down.
Rolls off the tongue. Just nice Friday.
Friday in the spring on a beautiful Friday. On the weekend,
I think a frolic is in order.
Like the worst part of the weekend is a slightly breezy Saturday. Like Sunday's going to be 80 and not, and today's going to be beautiful. But yes, definitely frolic weather. Bless you.
No.
I thought you were about to sneeze.
No, I was fighting off hiccups.
I thought you had a face, and I'm like, bless you.
So you were going to jinx my sneeze? Dang. You know what would be a good Saturday to do with a slight breeze, not like too windy, but, windy enough? Go fly a kite.
That's right.
When's the last time anybody, go tell people to go fly a kite?
Is that still like a direct,
I think so, yeah.
All right, pull back the curtain, young people. When people we thought opinions were just dumb, say, hey, buddy, go fly a kite.
Right. Nowadays we say pound sand, kick rocks, stuff like that.
It is the more modern version.
But go fly a kite. Actually, I don't think I've flown a kite in maybe my adult life.
The weird part is, as a kid, I kind of did it a few times and loved it. But now I could care less about kite flying unless we're going to a beach. Right. I'm like, let's go get a kite.
Fly a kite.
Because it seems like that's... And if you ever go to beaches, like commercial beaches.
Right.
Like places like Nag's Head and all that. There's always the slurry of beach shops. Mm-hmm. And they have the towels, and so because even though you bring towels, you still buy beach towels. You buy swim trunks again, and you buy boogie boards. The boogie boards that you use 3 times and they break and you're done with them. But a lot of times they have a lot of kites, and matter of fact, in Outer Banks, in the Kill Devil Hills area, which is kind of right around, not far from the Wright Brothers Monument and all that stuff. That part of the Outer Banks. There is a pretty cool kite store that has not only your 7-Eleven in the end kite that you could just roll out and start flying that would usually fly the best kites ever. to those convoluted, like,
2 boxes on top of each other.
It's like an actual, like, this is a science class, kids. Let's go learn how to fly this
You
thing.
don't look like you should be able to fly, and yet you can.
Right.
The ones with those, like, the 2
but
strings.
You or I roll out there, that thing, crash and burn.
Oh, of
every
course.
single time.
Every time.
Then you get that one science professor.
Right. I looked it up, and I brought it up on here before, but in Kuwait, the Al Farsi Kite Team organizes a popular kite festival, particularly during national holidays like Kuwait National Day and Liberation Day. They feature large and unique kites, cultural activities, and kite-making workshops.
Okay. Do they do the kite fighting?
That's what I was going to say.
Because I know the Middle East, that's kite fighting area.
That's they've in past years been notorious for people putting like glass or razors on their kites. It's an effort to cut people's their strings. But what ends up happening is those kites go, kind of off the rails or whatever.
Have sliced somebody.
And have sliced, have like injured people.
Yeah. Yeah. You turn kite flying into a blood sport.
Right. Yeah, it's the Kumite rules. You roll your kite string through like razor wire and glass first. You dip it in the glue, and then you dip it in the sundae toppings.
It's the kite flying tournament. 2 men enter, 1 man leave.
Kite Kumite. I like it. This year, we play blood sport.
And then I'm surprised there's not a Jean-Claude Van Damme kite fighting movie.
Right? Kite to the finish, Final kite.
Right. Or at this point, let's do like a what are they called? The Invincibles, Incredibles. What's about washed up action stars? Those movies.
Oh,
what are they called?
The Expendables.
Expendables.
Yeah.
I know they're somethable.
Yep.
Somethinables.
Cravables, mashables, no.
Lunchables. Sommables. Yeah, I'm surprised there isn't like a movie-esque of that. It's got like Chow Yun Fat. Jason Statham because he's in everything.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Kite.
Yeah. Jackie Chan. Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Michelle Yeoh.
Some of those various bad guys from the Bloodsport. And like there's that one Asian dude that I saw like a Where Are They Out later. He was like one of the main guys in, is it Bloodsport? It's one of those street fighting ones that he did. It may have been Blood. But anyway, he was this Asian like bodybuilder. And so he was cut. And then I saw him years later in a Where Are They Now thing. And it was like him in it was a picture like him in what's his
Bolo
name?
Yen?
Maybe.
This guy?
That's him.
Yeah. Oh my, yeah, he's
that guy's intimidating.
He's definitely cut.
Yeah.
He's 78 years young.
I'm about to say he probably still looks pretty. Yeah, I just see him then.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't messing with him at 78 still.
Yeah.
He's probably still pretty bad.
And I mean this with all due respect.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say like a separation. Asians age very oddly. It's like they look 30 until they're 70, and then they look 90. Just like all of a sudden.
Yeah. And then there's Tom Cruise.
Yeah, and then there's Tom Cruise.
Like I keep saying, like the AI world's messing with me, and they did the Top Gun one, and they're showing it's a Top Gun AI where they're showing like the cast, at that movie, and then now, and the Top Gun one that does not age pretty because Kelly McGillis, woof, Val Kilmer, woof. I mean, even Merlin.
Now, Val Kilmer, in fairness, I mean, life happened to him.
Well, life happened to all these people. Apparently.
Chewed up.
But and even the ones like Anthony Edwards, who looks way older. But then there's Maverick shows up. Tom Cruise is like he looks the same. And then I'm like, man. And then I was like, but then right after like this morning, I'm scrolling through again, and it's the Jerry Maguire movie, and there's Tom standing next to that little kid, and he looks younger than the little kid now.
Right.
I'm like, this ain't fair, man. That kid, I don't know what they're doing in the Scientology world.
I was gonna say he's the one advertisement for Scientology that could work. It's like, I
don't know what they're doing to that guy or what machines they got him hooked up to or what, but yeah, he's an enigma.
Now I'm sure he once he's not doing or when he's done playing a role or whatever, he climbs into a hyperbaric chamber and just waits.
I'm wondering. That's why I'm like, does he go to the alien pod or what? Because they're there's some, I don't know.
Right.
In Scientology,
He's got some of that Xenu on him.
All I know is I've seen a lot of documentaries and none of it's good. And I'm pretty sure there's like alien lore in their religion.
Oh, Scientology?
I think so.
Do you not know?
All I know is it's about buttons and
South Park,
and then there's
South Park did a fantastic job of breaking this down because what they did was they explained the story that they believe, and then at the bottom they just put the text, "This is what Scientologists actually believe," and they just flashed that. So what it is millions of years ago, Lord Xenu, who is an ancient alien overlord,
cousin to Ming the Merciless.
Right. He flew, and the way it was described in South Park was he flew on this ship, which looks a lot like a DC-8.
Okay.
But in their case was like a different color or something. Now, L. Ron Hubbard, for those who don't know, was a science fiction author before he wrote Dianetics.
Yeah, he was a Hollywood writer.
Right. He was trying to get sci-fi movies made, basically.
Yeah.
But anyways, so what he believes is that what they believe is all of the bad feelings that we have, anxiety, depression, anger, malice, all of it, it comes from what they call thetans, which are these creatures that were essentially dumped here on planet Earth.
Okay.
And their whole thing is through counseling and through studying Scientology, you clear your body of these thetans, these bad feelings or whatever.
In my head, they look like a cross between Cousin It and Captain Caveman.
Kinda.
Or maybe the Furby things from Star Trek.
Well, the South Park made them look like lizard people, essentially.
I don't know. Just feel like something that's supposed to do all that. It's gotta have like scrubbing bubbles, like the what's the foaming cleaning stuff?
Oh yeah, scrubbing bubbles.
Yeah. All right, we got to get our interview going because it's kind of a longer one. We had Deputy District Attorney Hunter Spindle join us. Had a great conversation with him. We're going to play that for you here, but first we're going to take a quick 2.5-minute break, and then we'll drop it in on the other side here. So don't go away. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters, Scientology. Now with scrubbing bubbles. We'll be back.
Are you ready to succeed? Earn your FFA certification through ENMU Roswell's Aviation Maintenance Technology Program. ENMU Roswell has the only FFA Part 147 airframe and power plant school in Southeast New Mexico. Receive commercial and general aviation training, hands-on training with Operation Aircraft, Boeing commercial experience, advanced composite repair training, and more. And ENMU Roswell offers in-state tuition for veterans too. Learn more about this exciting program on campus or online at roswell.enmu.edu. Eastern New Mexico University, Roswell. Success starts here.
This is the time of year we can get all 4 seasons in just one day. Hi, this is Ben Manette from Roswell Seed Company. 1 minute you're sweating in the sun, and the next minute you've got slush in your shoes. But that's winter in Roswell, and after 127 years, we're starting to get used to it. It's too early to plant very much, but you can fertilize pecan trees, spray for dandelions, order your bees, and pick up a new seed catalog. So come see us at Roswell Seed. Like Jim Gill would say, enjoy the warm days, but don't go far from the fire.
Picture this. You're behind the wheel of a John Deere compact tractor. You're effortlessly breaking ground, moving piles of rocks just by moving a lever, and enjoying the sun as you clear brush across your pasture. We could keep trying to put you in the moment, but to really understand what this feels like, you just have to get in the seat.
Stop by Pecos Valley Equipment in Artesia and Roswell, or visit us online at pecosvalleyequipment.com.
A bedroom is a quiet escape where I go for peace and comfort. This is Melanie at Glenn's Furniture. I know how important the most private room in your home is for your life and the lives of your family. That's why we offer a selection of bedroom groups that make living easier and more comfortable. Modern designs, bold curves, and stylish fabrics elevate your bedroom space. You'll find your new set easy to sleep on and even easier to own. Come see us at Glenn's on the corner of Union and Alameda, where delivery is free since 1953.
Have you experienced the Valley Cafe yet? It's much more than lunch or dinner. It's an experience. Chef Anthony Noble is a nominated Chef of the Year and manager with a 4.9 out of 5 kitchen cleanliness rating and a 4.8 out of 5 most loved rating. It's time for you to experience the difference that so many others already have at the Valley Cafe. Visit for lunch or dinner at 801 West Brasher, the Orange Building across from Church on the Move in Roswell. And save the Valley Cafe in your contacts. 575-755-EATS. 575-755-3287. Don't forget, we can cater your event too, and a portion of our proceeds go to the Dream Center in Roswell.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. 47.2% of all statistics are made up on the spot. Is this true? I'd say chances are about 50%. Here's Mike Winters.
Joining. And good morning. It is 18 minutes after 9 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning from the 5th Judicial District, Deputy DA Hunter Spindle back with us. Good morning, sir. How you doing today?
Good morning. It's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah, you've been kind of, I guess, doing your day job and didn't really have a lot of time to kind of do the more fun side of the job. I guess you didn't get to play. You had too much work to do.
Yeah. Well, the last several times we've been scheduled to be here, I've been in a trial. I had a week-long homicide trial pretty much each month.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much been my last couple months.
Just gee whiz curious, and this is why I like talking to the office here, because I really get the chance. We get to kind of see, the world from y'all's perspective, and that's and sometimes, especially in today's world, everything's so divisive, and but people forget now. Things impact everybody. Everybody impacts And obviously, with your job as a prosecutor, and you deal with murder trials unfortunately on a regular basis here. And I know we've talked a little bit about how you guys cope as an office, but I mean, do you have to have an ability to turn that switch off when you go home, or I mean, yes, we could say that, but as human beings, that's really impossible. I mean, how do you navigate that? How do you? I mean, or do it's healthy. I take it home, and my wife and I we talk about some of this stuff, and that's my own. I mean, how do you process this stuff?
So, I mean, the term vicarious trauma is very real, and it affects a lot of people. You have to, and I've been affected by it. In certain cases, are really hard. You have to be able to try to close it into certain boxes, sure. Right? And how you deal with it. So when I first started prosecuting homicides, that was a lot harder for me to do than it is now. So the more you do, I don't want to say you become desensitized to it.
But insensitive, but in a case you are.
Right.
It's just if you're, and this is true in any job, if you're exposed to the things that are not really normal human behavior, your body... It's no different than food. Like if you eat a certain kind of food, after a while, your body craves it. Things. I'm sure it's no different. You build up a callus a little bit,
right?
And that's what it is. And it's for your own protection as much as it is for everything else.
Right. And part of my job, especially in my position as the chief deputy, I go to most homicide scenes. So when I get a call about
like when it's still it's still going, cops are there and doing their investigation and everything.
And when I took over the office, I really made it a point that I want boots on the ground, whether that's me personally or one of my deputies or even an investigator. I want boots on the ground, so we have a front row seat and firsthand knowledge about what we're looking at prior to the case even coming to us.
Absolutely. And I would also imagine too, now, police officers, they're well trained in evidence gathering and things like that, but they also are looking from a law enforcement perspective. Whereas you come in with a prosecutor's eye,
right?
You may see something that different than they see something. And so I would imagine, obviously doing that in good communication with these officers, it allows for everybody to be more thorough there. Where is like you're saying, because law enforcement, they're here first, they're trying to keep the peace, making sure everybody's safe and secure. Then they're doing everything they can to gather evidence and whatever DNA, whatever the gloves or whatever they got to collect to prove a case here. But I'm going to take a stab. There's times where, because you know what convicts and doesn't convict, you're like saying, no, we need to focus more on this and less on this, kind of thing, because this is going to be much more disputed. If we can prove this, it's going to be much more difficult to disprove that.
Well, and that's, and part of my job with going to the scene is to look at that, to try to see, okay, what is the possibility, is there possible self-defense claim? Mm-hmm. Is there, how do we know that he's the one who did this or this person did this? And sometimes it's very straightforward, right?
Absolutely.
It's like right in your face. I mean, it's going to be easy to prove. Other times are, a lot more complicated. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes we can't make it, I can tell you right now, I need all the evidence before I can even make a decision on this.
Sure.
And, and I have, there are several cases that we have that I'm constantly sending back to law enforcement that I'm saying, I can't sign off on this. We're missing this piece. We're missing that piece. It's one of those things that's like you need to go from A to Z, right?
Sure.
But you got to have all the letters in between.
Yeah. Well, and this is, and I'm getting very general with it, but this is going back to, you hear the thing, well, if there's smoke, there's fire.
Right.
Yes, that's true in a lot of cases, but you can't convict on smoke.
No.
You got to convict on the fire.
Right.
And so even if there's a lot of smoke, we can't do a thing about it unless, I know that's kind of very broad, but in essence, that's what you're talking about here is no, it can smell like a duck and quack like a duck and talk like a duck, but until I can confirm it's a duck, it ain't a duck. And that's how we work in the legal world. Even though to the common eye, it's probably a duck. But we got to prove, there is no reasonable doubt here that is a duck.
And that's probably one of the biggest things we deal with as prosecutors is, everyone has emotions about stuff, right?
Sure.
And rightfully so. But we have, the hardest part of our job is to look at it and say, okay, do we have enough evidence first to get past the preliminary hearing for the probable cause stages?
Yeah.
But then once, the evidence is still coming in, can we put this up to a jury ethically and convict beyond reasonable doubt? And, in those cases that are like slam dunk, a lot of times, they're asking for a plea. They're asking for a plea.
Right.
And sometimes a plea may be appropriate.
When they know
their
dead rights they're guilty, then they're going to see what they can do.
Well, then, and in certain instances with that, I go, absolutely not. We're going to trial because I can prove this case. I can get a slam dunk on it.
And I'm going to take a stab that history comes big time into play. That if this is something you've had chronic issues that you haven't, then If
this dude's a problem,
sure. But if this is a kid that maybe did something really dumb and this is not the norm, maybe we can not ruin this person's life.
Every time we make like plea offers and that sort of stuff, we always try. I always, of course, under the Victims' Rights Act, we meet with the victim and I try to explain, what is the strengths, the weaknesses of this case, and about the possibilities of, how a plea versus a trial may go and that sort of thing.
And in our court system, some justice is better than no justice sometimes. Right. And unfortunately, some justice is the best we can do because, and to be honest, this is the way it has to be. Because the moment we're wrong about it, because we just assumed, that's when we have problems. And it happens every day. I mean, there's a whole section on Netflix documentaries about cases they found out, oopsie, we made a mistake later and did all this. And that's the reason why we have to do it this way. And like you said, you really have to triage. It's like, look, I can see this. This is probably the person that committed this murder. But I don't have the enough evidence and resources to spend weeks or months on this when at the end of the day, I'm pretty confident that we're not going to convict on this. Maybe we can do something else, whether it's the lesser charge or like you said, and like you said, that's the biggest part, victim, because as a victim, you're, how can we do, but you're seeing it from an emotional lens as you should and normally would. Unfortunately, lawyers do not have that luxury.
Well, and that, and I like equating what we do to like an emergency room. at a hospital with the triage, right?
You got to be the calm head in the room in the storm. You got to be the calm head.
I mean, doctors get affected by some of the stuff they see. Nurses do, right? We all deal with that.
They can't do it in the ER.
But they can't do it in the ER.
They do it crying in the room later. Yeah.
Right. And of course, the person that is always mad at the doctor is the person who's sitting there waiting for 12 hours to be seen, right? Because they're like, I've been here for this long. Why aren't you seeing me? But they
don't see all the variables.
But they don't see the variables. We may have that one person whose case is, so much life or death, right? Now, for us, what that means is, the case that is a homicide, a sex offense that's going on right now, where we have to, that is a big time case that we have to focus on.
Sure.
And maybe that may make some people angry because they're like, my case has been going on for 18 months. And it's like, I get it. But
and here's the rub is yes. And I know this, and obviously, Diana and every, I would argue every DA in the state here, they care about crimes. They want convictions. They want to do things. But here's the deal. These are elected officials, as is their bosses. And they have to go to votes. And if there's big cases that's in the media every single day that people are asking questions about and they're not seeing anything being addressed about it, that costs votes. And I know it's not a perfect system. It's not,
No.
When it comes to these kinds of things, I'm not always a big fan of partisan politics getting involved in these things.
Yeah.
The law is the law, and it should be interpreted regardless of what party affiliation you have here. But that's not the real world we live in.
No.
And so yes. So you're right. It shouldn't be that way, but this is the world we live in, and we got to play by these rules. Love them or hate them until you want to fix these things. You got to change it in legislature. You got to talk to these folks. You've got to, our whole judicial system, and this ain't just New Mexico. This is the United States of America. We need to really assess on some of this stuff. Yes, we got a big mindset of rehab versus punishment and all that, and we can make those debates should be had. There are people that need more rehab than punishment. But that being said, there are people that need punishment.
Right.
And we can't just wash them into rehab when we all know this is beyond rehab.
Right.
These are people with serious issues that need to be dealt with because they are problems in society.
and as part of our jobs, we have to try to assess that, right?
Yeah.
And we have to take in all the information, taking it in. And I do sometimes when we go and do presentations to Leadership New Mexico, we'll go to that. And I did that with Diana up here in Roswell, and I did it with my direct supervisor, Patrick Melvin in Carlsbad. The one thing we say a lot about is our job is like herding cats, right? So it's like we're trying to take all these different pieces, make them come together. The problem though is a lot of times if we're missing a piece, let's say someone died, someone is all of a sudden we can't find, that sort of thing, that could really mess up a case.
Sure.
It can throw it into a tailspin because of the rule of evidence. And a lot of people don't understand that. They'll get mad at us and they'll be like, well, this was a slam dunk case. I don't understand. And I'm like, look, I get it. And I understand that what I'm telling you is hard to hear.
Sure.
But I'm telling you right now, we will not get this conviction at trial. And what's best for this case is we need to make a plea to this.
Well, and let's face it, defense attorneys are very good at what they do, and their job is to create doubt.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, what you're basically saying is, look, any lawyer worth his salt is going to create so much doubt in here that it's going to be really, really difficult to. Yes, if you take this at face value on the surface, it looks like a red herring. But anyone that's trained in this thing can start picking the holes apart and saying, yeah, but, and I know. And this is the part that frustrates people, but this is how it's got to be because the devil's in the details every single time. And not every single person on the prosecution side in every single situation is always on the up and up. And 99.9% are, but there's always that one person that, doesn't do it right. They either, and mostly the most common mistake I see in all these documentaries and things when you have these, and of course, every single one of those documentaries have one of these people.
Yeah.
But for every one of these, there's 1,000 other cases that none of that happens. That's my point. You see the exception, but my point is the one thing that always seems common is when people that collect and analyze evidence come with a predetermined outcome. If they come in already thinking it's this guy, 9 times out of 10, defense attorneys will pick away that part lawyer and say, well, you already had your person and you stopped doing this because of this.
Right.
And so that is by far one of the strongest tools in a defense attorney's tool bag. And you guys know this too. And so you look at it and see, it's like, I'm telling you, they're going to shoot this down. This is going to be a futile effort here.
Right.
And so that's where, and I get it from the people on the outside looking in or watching Judge Judy every day and thinking he can wrap this up in 30 minutes or whatever. I get it. It's frustrating, but this is the real world. And guess what? You are innocent until proven guilty in the United States of America.
Not guilty until proven innocent.
No matter what. And
right.
You have, and duck, again, talks like a duck, quacks like a duck. Yeah, that's a duck. Not in the eyes of the law until we prove it's a duck.
Right.
And that's what we got to, that's the standard we have to stay with.
And probably 95% of cases are like that, right? Really straightforward.
Sure.
Pretty much this person is seen doing this. You have someone testifying doing that. And I had a trial recently where defense counsel used and it was a homicide, basically an argument saying, well, the state doesn't have this eyewitness, doesn't have this, didn't do that. And my argument in closing as my reply to him was, yeah, I'd love to have all of that. I would love to have 3 or 4 witnesses who watched this murder happen, but that's not reality. It's not reality to have a camera on every corner catching it. That's not reality. It's not reality that we're going to get fingerprints off of every bullet round, every shell casing. Yeah. It's not reality. That while, yes, that happens and you see it on CSI, as Law and Order, that's not how it actually happens in real life. And I have to explain that a lot of times to juries and make them understand that just because you see it on television is not actually how it plays. It makes for good television, but it doesn't make for reality.
And to be honest, and I'm only mentioning this because they just put a new thing out, and I watched it, and I was very intrigued by it. And of course, this is something on Netflix right now. They basically did another OJ documentary, and but this one is really from the perspective of Mark Furman. Darden, the deputy DA, Marsha Clark's basically co-counsel on most of that case, and basically some of the people that kind of turned black sheep after all was said and done on Darden with the glove stuff, the racist stuff with Furman and all that. But it's like a 4-part thing, but it's really the things you're talking about here, because if I'm going to take a stab that very few prosecutions had the amount of DNA evidence collected for a case ever in that thing. And there was so much good DNA collected, but but the defense, arguably probably the best in the country at the time, they picked it apart. They were able to do, and that's what happens. Now, granted, most people don't have the dream team OJ did doing that kind of work, but this it really at the core it shows what is going on here, and of course we all look 30 years later, and I think 99% of us think, oh, that OJ did do it, what I mean? But when you see how the evidence, but this one also shows evidence that was collected but wasn't admissible because of some various, and to be honest, it was very damning evidence, and some of it was chosen, like there was like a lady that witnessed OJ getting in the Bronco and all this, like right before all that stuff, and the prosecution was going to ready to sign her up, but somehow she went and sold her story before she got testified, and prosecution said, well, that just tainted that.
Yeah,
one.
It does.
But at the end of the day, her testimony probably that would have been hard for the dream team to chew that one up. But this is what I'm talking about, or what you're talking about in this case of stuff, and so I say. I get it. There's so many of those documentaries, and as a guy who lived through it and seen it, you're tired of all of that stuff. But that one was actually, I was like, there's some new stuff in this that I didn't think about. Yeah. So, and it really speaks to a lot of what you're talking about as a prosecutor, what you can convict and what you can,
because at the end of the day, like Darden, the way he talks, and like this man is so passionate about his job, and at the end of the day, he basically got rope-a-doped by the prosecutor or by the defense here.
And what's interesting is a lot of people, like for sex cases, for instance, think that there's always DNA, and they don't want to convict unless there's some sort of DNA. It's got to be semen, got to be this, got to be that, and it's like, yeah, don't get me wrong, I watch Law and Order SVU with my wife, we enjoy it, but they always find DNA, in the most obscure places. And it comes back in one day. Yeah, that doesn't happen. If we get DNA back, it's 9 months later.
If you're lucky.
But that's if we get it back.
Sure.
That's if we get anything. And what it doesn't say this is a match.
Sure.
It says 1 in however many millionths or 1 in so many trillionths of a percentage. Now, the lower that percentage, right, the more likely than not that it is. So, but if you get something back that says cannot be excluded, yeah, that's great. But if you get one back that says, no, well, then you're like, ugh.
The moral of that story is, if you have a rare blood type, don't go committing the crimes with DNA, because you're going to get spotted a lot easier than the people with the A's, A, whatever the most common ones are.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Not like me. Oh, negative.
If Vitalent's always asking because you got a rare blood type to donate, you shouldn't be committing violent crimes.
Yeah.
You will get caught.
Yeah. What do they call me? Mine's one of the rare ones. O negative is the universal donor or whatever.
Yeah, one of them is like you can receive anybody's. The other one's like you can give to everybody.
Yeah. I can give to everyone. I can only take from O negative. I think is what it is for me. It's just it's funny, but
you're right, and you're absolutely correct. Is DNA and all these things are very, very valuable tools, and yes, can convict, but they're not be all end alls. They're not the aha clues people think they are. They aren't the thing that wraps up your hour-long episode of Law and Order or whatever it is you're watching, or Elsbeth now if you've been watching some of those cases.
I haven't watched that,
that's more of a police
side.
It's more of that. It's not convict, but she's much like your Sherlock Holmes rolling in with very observant, and everyone points out that very popular. And there's several of these shows that there's the one person that's not really a normal detective. There's some other thing, but they're just observant people and can, or have eidetic memories or something like that.
Yeah.
You don't have any of those in your office, do you?
No. I wish.
I thought every prosecution office had one super sleuth that knew everything. It could solve a case in an hour.
No, I wish. I mean, sometimes I have a little bit of a photographic memory, so I can remember certain
but then I forget
certain phrases
sure.
and like passages somewhere, and I can kind of remember a line, and I can go find, I can try to remember on a page or something, but that's about as good as that gets.
Yeah.
And
if you put it in like a comedy or movie, I'll remember that.
Yeah,
but if it's like an important document, it's lights out. I'll never remember that. But.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But that's the thing, and that's just why I love having these conversations with your office every month. Whether it's Justin or Gina or one of the DAs that are talking actual case. I love because that office is it's so easy to put up your opinions and walls on things because of we live in this world that it's like if it's something you don't slightly like, then it's the devil and it's evil and it's anti everything. I mean, you're a Nazi, you're this or whatever term that makes people feel vindicated on whatever they're saying. And unfortunately, none of that's true. Everything is the prosecution. They're here to help victims. They're here to get justice for victims. Unfortunately, the way the system works, there's tools they can use. There's tools they can't use. And I know it's hard to fathom, and I know especially if you're a victim or a family of a victim, and it's violent stuff. Yes. I get it. I'm the same way. I'm like, let's burn it to the ground. I'm tired of everything. I get it. Trust me, I understand. But we can't have that in a society that if we all want to coexist and live and live without killing each other, we can't do that kind of thing. We have to respect the law, even when the law isn't working in our favor.
And I'll tell people all the time, I may not agree with certain parts of the law. I don't, I think our sentences need to be longer. New Mexico is very easy compared to a lot of other states around.
Sure.
When it comes to criminal sentencing. And some people don't like to hear that, but it's the truth, right? it far less, like the length of sentences is far less. I wish I could control that.
Sure.
I can't, though. You know, a lot of people are like, "Oh, well."
But that to me, that speaks to the bigger problem of we're not investing our money correctly in the justice system.
Right.
Whether I don't know,
or the legislature more than anything.
But what I mean is, whatever it is we're doing ain't working.
Right.
And unfortunately, depending on who you talk to, they're like, build more prisons. And I don't think that's the answer. We need more judges. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
We need more prosecutors.
Definitely
we need more
that.
of all these. We need more of all of those things, but we cannot agree. And this is the thing. We can't just throw money at it without coming up with solutions. And, this is like the DA dog program that Diana's kind of started in this office. To me, that's the kind of stuff we need to be investing in and talking about, because these are getting real results in helping the caseload and getting prosecutions and things like. We need to be thinking of these kind of ideas, not just in DA's office or prosecuting offices and everything else. We need to be thinking about this in the penal system. In the okay, our current prison model doesn't seem to be working right.
Right.
How do we fix that so we punish those that need to be punished, but the people that maybe shouldn't be there aren't there?
and that's
where I think the bigger fix needs to happen.
And that's something we always try to take into consideration for every plea deal, every sort of case we have, is that we many times, especially with victim cases, we meet people at the most traumatic or worst thing that could have happened in their life. Either they're victimized, or someone they know has been victimized,
Sure.
A family member, that sort of thing. And so we have to be very considerate of that, but also take into consideration not just their rights, but the defendant's rights.
Right.
The evidence of the case. That is very paramount in what we do.
Absolutely.
When I swear my oath to protect the Constitution of the state of New Mexico and the United States, that's not just for the victim,
Sure.
for police. That's for the defendant as well.
Sure.
That is, as part of my job, is to make sure police are doing their job.
Sure.
That's part of my job, to make sure that everything is done correctly. And that's why justice can look like very different things.
Sure.
And taking that into consideration, you brought up the DA Dogs program. That's also like a program that I myself designed that we are just now starting. Now it's a form of pre-prosecution diversion.
Okay.
We're starting it. It's called non-organized shoplifting diversion.
Gotcha.
So
this covers like the dumb teenager that's throwing a candy bar at the 7-Eleven.
But it goes to exactly what you were talking about, right? Like, we don't need a whole bunch of people going to jail for this stuff, that sort of thing.
So the end of the day is just dumb stuff that we all, get basically threaten the book. We learn the lesson, and then we move on, and they go on to live productively.
So the change in the law, I think, what was it, 2023, when they did the retail theft, organized retail crime, and
which
that sort
was
of stuff.
needed because we had no way, because what was happening, and they're going in and pop shot little stuff, not enough to get the big thing.
Right.
But now they said, you know what? We're going to start keeping a tab on all the little stuff until it turns to a big thing.
Right.
And now and that's a good thing. But unfortunately, I'm going to guess now we've got to fine tune that law a little bit.
So with that, because of that, as part of the agreement, our office, we used to not prosecute petty misdemeanors and misdemeanor shopliftings, right? So that was all dealt with by officer prosecution, or it was dealt with in muni court. Well, now that's been taken over by our office. So our office that was originally doing 350 to 400 misdemeanors at a time, that's active cases, is now much more in the 450 to 550 range.
Because what you guys needed was more caseloads.
Right. Right. So, at one point in magistrate courts, what we were prosecuting mainly were just DUIs and battery on household members, primarily.
Sure.
The overall vast majority of cases were those. And then all of a sudden, the new change in law came. We took over doing shoplifting. And now shoplifting is the third most prosecuted crime that we have. But what most people don't realize is the age range for that is typically between 18 and 30.
Gotcha.
Now, that is the overall vast majority. That's not to say we don't have 30 to 50, but the other range that you see is your older people who maybe are stealing because they have to, or stealing because whatever else.
Life's handed them a deck of cards,
right?
And they're dealing with it.
We don't really see it as nearly as much in the 30 to 50 range, but you do see it in the 50 plus range. But a lot of these people that are committing these offenses don't have really anything else. Or they have just misdemeanor offenses otherwise. So I went to Diana and Patrick, my direct supervisor, and went, look, we have a problem. Mm-hmm. We need to fix something. We have all these shoplifting cases that we have the evidence there to convict, but I don't have the manpower to
physically work these cases.
Cases to the point where they're going to trial. And, a lot of, and rightfully so, defense attorneys can do that. They don't want to take the shopliftings, just they don't want to plea it out, that sort of thing.
Sure. It's serious enough where they should receive some form of retribution for this.
Well,
maybe not throw the book at them.
Right. And a lot of time, it's considered a crime of moral turpitude. So that can be negative for their work. It can be, whatever, because it's, theft, fraud, that sort of thing.
Yeah, because now it's questioning your character. Other aspects of your life may not want you around.
Right.
Yeah.
So that, we have to take that into consideration. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of these people, like I said, especially in that 18 to 30 range, that may be all they have. Maybe they have a DUI on their record. Maybe they have some other misdemeanor offense. But taking it into consideration, it's like, okay, we're prosecuting shopliftings for a $5 soda that they stole.
Right.
$20 worth of merchandise, food, that sort of thing. What can we do to make this better?
Sure.
So I went to them and I presented an idea, and I said, we have pre-prosecution diversion for, the violence prevention program, which is for better on a household member.
Right.
We have the pre-prosecution diversion at the felony level for, first offense felonies, that sort of thing, that are more theft-based, that aren't violent, that sort of thing. How can we do a program at the misdemeanor and petty misdemeanor level that are going to address some of these needs? And I presented it to him, kind of thinking back of when I was a defense attorney myself. And I said, when I was a defense attorney, I had shoplifting cases, whatever. I used to go and present to the prosecutor. I'd always have my clients take an anti-theft course, like a 6-hour, 8-hour course.
Kind of like when you get too many tickets, you got to take your defensive driving course, something like that, but for petty, shoplifting.
And then I'd have them do community service, and I'd have it signed off, and I'd bring it, and I'd be like, here, that my client did this, he did this. What can we do about this? Can we get this case dismissed? If we just pay restitution, can we do this? Can we
even the community service side, I think that's the key. Like I would especially if they're like teenagers.
Right.
I'd guess what? You're going to go work at that store you sold the candy bar at, and you're going to go do some mopping. You're going to do some sweeping, do some stock shelving.
So the program,
love that.
The program that I designed with edits from my supervisors is 6 months to a year, in which it's a diversion program, and it's going to now be the standing offer on all first and second offense petty and misdemeanor shopliftings. So if you have 3 or more, can't do it. If it aggregates to a felony, can't do it. If you have a felony prior, you can't do it. But that sort of thing is going to be it.
If you're
and under
chronic,
that,
then you're going to get
but
if
these are people that have first offenses.
But if we can prevent you from being chronic, maybe that's the key.
Right, exactly. And as part of the program, they have to take an anti-theft course. They have to do community service. They have to pay restitution. And
really teach them the impact of what their actions did. You know, it's like, look, it seems petty to you here, but here's the chain of events that follow by you stealing that.
Right. And so long as they do all of that and meet the criteria and do it within that certain amount of time, their case is going to get dismissed in the magistrate court.
And that's the kind of stuff we do need to going on. And because this is the problem, and this is why, people aren't sitting in jail very long and all this, because we're dealing with so much of that the person that's really, really needs to be in jail, they're slipping through the cracks here because, it's very rare for someone to go to jail and not be out of there within 48 hours. That's the norm.
The norm, yeah.
Even for violent offenders.
Yep.
And that's the problem. We got to fix that. And unfortunately, and this is what it sounds like, because of the dealings because of that, we're so clogged up with that the people that really need to be behind bars, that really need to be prosecuted, really we're not getting the attention on them they deserve right now. So how can we shift our focus where we're not, trivializing what is lesser stuff here?
Yeah.
We want to stress that, yes, no, it's bad that you did this, and we need to make you aware of that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're not, throwing the book at these people while the murderers and everyone else just keep doing what they're doing. And that's what we're setting the table right now. And this is why I kind of was mentioned earlier. This is more than just what prosecutors, and this has to be about what we do with once a judge says you're going to jail. What are we doing with them? And that's the side we need to fix. It's because the judges aren't going to put these sentences out there if they know in reality they're not going to be sitting there, because they see everything that comes. So judges really are handcuffed on their sentences because we don't have the means to do what really needs to be done for these individuals or to these individuals.
And the one thing I can always say is that, like, our office, we're always trying to find solutions, right? I mean, and so we always, it doesn't mean every idea kind of we can run with it.
Sure.
We may be
some don't stick on the dartboard.
Well, and not only that, sometimes we don't have the authority under the law, right?
Sure.
It's like we can think about it, and it's like, well, can we do this?
But then there's something in the Constitution that's
or the statute
why we don't
or
do
something.
It
It's like,
way.
nope, we don't have the authority, right?
Yeah.
And so that's when we were able to do this, and I presented it, and Diana's like, yep, go with it, run with it. She, she's like, thanks for volunteering, it's on you, and
that's the politician.
And I'm like, okay, not that I don't have anything else I'm going on, prosecuting homicides, got a caseload of 300.
Politician class, that's the first thing you teach them.
Yep, design it, send it to me, and I'll review it, and it's like, I'm like, all right, and her name's on it,
I'm pretty sure that's also 101 in your leadership. I'm sure they're teaching that in IMI too. But anyway. I just saw the time. We're running a little short on it here, but just to kind of put a little bit bow on this, this conversation we're having here. Really, this is the thing. At the end of the day, trust me, your prosecutors and everyone in the DA's office, they are feeling and understanding everything that you probably have a beef about or just something upset about, because you guys are experiencing the exact same thing. Yeah, and I'm going to say what handcuffs you deal with, you as the individual, you guys in your office are dealing tenfold. That's not just something you deal sometimes. That's just the nature of the beast every single day. And this is, but again, part of this has to be this way because it is. You've got to remember that at the end of the day, these are all innocent people until a jury of their peers says otherwise. And you can, and I know you cannot, but that's where we as humans have to evolve and mature and to understand that to be in a lawful society, you have to live lawfully, even when it don't feel the best, feel like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It's I understand vigilante justice is a tool that we all spend weekends watching Marvel movies all about this stuff. I get it, all of that. But that's the difference. It's a movie. It's in real life, in society, you can't just go guns blazing because it feels like the right thing to do, or it will make a good movie story.
Yeah.
It's because unfortunately, there are so many cases of people sitting in jail that were righteous, but went over the line because they did something they couldn't walk back from. It's those stories of a family member being abused or something, and they take justice in their own hands. I know it feels good, and it makes a great documentary, but it's illegal. It's against the law.
Yep.
They will be prosecuted for that.
Yep.
And that's the sad part. Because we don't want that. That's a good person who just emotionally flipped because they saw something that was just too much for them to handle.
And I mean, I've had a couple different times where I've literally had to tell people in my office, I was like, I'm going to act like I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Because but I can suggest that you do nothing.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have to be prosecuting you.
Yeah, you're about to say,
so it's
sometimes you have to be their defense attorney.
Well, and it's like, that's the most I can say to you right now.
Yeah.
And victim, especially victim cases,
Sure.
it's like everyone wants to hang them, on the front lawn of the courthouse,
And
but
I
it's
get
like
it. I'm that guy. I'm the person yelling too. Get off my lawn! I'm right, but
those conversations are the hardest.
Yeah, but in reality, nothing good comes from that.
Right.
Nothing. For the immediate tenth of a second of whatever gratification you got from doing it, it's all going to be followed by 10 times worse of what you did. Because guess what? And I know this sounds bad, but if you're killing people because they killed your people, you still have to sleep with that at the end of the day. And it may feel good right now, but down the road, and I'm going to tell you right now, you talk to murderers, and you look at the years down the road, they're reflecting on those things that they did. And, especially as life becomes more in the rearview mirror longer than the front of the mirror, in the front of you, you start thinking a certain way. And this is why I'm saying think. I know it's hard. I know but it's never the right solution to do that. And that's what you got to remember.
And the one part I say to people, and I'm not trying to go religious or anything, but part of the Bible that says, an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. That's very, very much how I go about it.
Absolutely.
It's like, look, I understand that, part of it says if he steals from you, chop his hand off, but it's like, that's not how things work.
Scorched earth may felt good at the time, but guess what? What you're left with?
Right.
Scorched earth.
Right.
And no one wants that. So. Hunter, is there anything we missed that you definitely, I know a lot of stuff we just talked philosophical, but is there anything you definitely wanted to talk about today that we got sidebarred on?
No. Cool. I think we covered it. I know. I just wanted to mention about the non-organized shoplifting diversion that we came up with, just to so people what's on the radar.
Can they talk to legislators about this? Or just if they can do more to get it outside of this? Is this more internal office stuff?
If they want to try to have something where that can be dealt with, statutorily wise, they certainly can. But that's just our office for the district.
Sure, but again, if you guys see good results, it's like the DA dogs. Then let's spread it from rooftop to rooftop, and every DA's office in the country should be doing this if it works.
Well, and I hope it cuts down on recidivism. People getting multiple shoplifting offenses, and it keeps people out of jail, and addressing an issue. That's
Lives
my hope, as well as reducing the caseload on top of it,
and not ruining life over something that's
exactly
really stupid at the end of the day.
Well, make it so they don't have misdemeanor or petty misdemeanor offenses on their record.
That's
really,
the sad part is, some of these dumb things they carry you the rest of your life.
Yep.
And it's people get kicked out of the military and get dishonorable discharges for some of the dumbest things. And when they got to carry that badge around with them the rest of their lives, it's really hard to be successful. And it's no different when you got a felony record over some dumbness.
Right.
Thank you, Hunter, as always.
Thank you, Mike.
We'll see you maybe a little bit sooner in between, maybe not
Hopefully.
a year or two in between visits here.
Well, I don't think it was a year, but I think it was definitely 6 months.
Yeah, at least here. So thank you, sir.
All right, thanks, Mike.
And appreciate you and everybody in your office, what you're doing. And even on those days that feels like there's no thanks for the job, we do appreciate it. So.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, it's 10 o'clock. We got to shut our hole because if I cut in other people's shows, they get mad at me. So you're listening.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it?
Sell-off
you call
continues
low-cost
on Wall
airlines.
Street this hour. The Dow is down 227 points. The Nasdaq off 53. More on these stories at townhall.com.
3 years ago, I wrapped up.
And good morning. It is 18 minutes
with the South Carolina Children's Theater. I was about 40, 50 pounds overweight, tired, sick, fed up with the way I felt. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher.
Everybody
I had
wants
to do
cheap
something.
airfare.
I scheduled
but
my
where
weight
do
loss
you
consultation.
Find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest price, everybody wants cheap airfare. But where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 866-755-5300. That's 866-755-5300. Again, that's 866-755-5300. Call us right now.
Words, Qatar has been involved in Israel's highest decision-making processes. The Prime Minister rejects these allegations.
The BBC's Charles Haviland. Russian drones have pummeled the Ukrainian Black Sea port city of Odessa, injuring 3 people and sparking fires. The attack underlining Moscow's intention to pursue aerial attacks, even as it agrees to a temporary ceasefire. Townhall.com. Well, March Madness is here, and if your NCAA tournament bracket is already busted, you are certainly not alone.
Fewer than 1% of NCAA tournament brackets are still perfect after Thursday's 16-game slate. That, according to several services, where fans attempt the all-but-impossible task of predicting every March Madness game correctly, or barring that, winning their office pools. I mean, who saw number 12 seed McNeese upsetting number 5 Clemson, or number 11 seed Drake beating 6 seed Missouri? It's all part of the chaos that is March Madness. Ken Lorman reporting.
A bill creating a so-called turquoise safety alert system for missing Native American people in New Mexico has been endorsed by the state legislature. Lawmakers have sent it to Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham's desk. She supports that initiative. More on these stories at townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man in this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The Travelician, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 3.
Trace and Piernos.
Of Mornings with Mike Winters, right here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM. Happy Friday.
Yes, welcome to it.
Finally Friday. It was a quick and a long week all the same
It was,
time.
I think it went by a lot faster for a lot of people just because they wanted it to be a lot longer. I'm sorry, looking at Kim.
Yeah, spring break.
I said it. She has kind of a pouty face.
It is in the crescendo of the spring break. Here.
Week flew.
Well, and y'all got an extra day too because of the dust storm on the Friday before.
We did. Well,
we made the most of it.
Yes and no.
Right.
It was still
virtual learning day technically. So.
But it was an easier day. Absolutely.
Put it this way: it was a day you could do it in your pajamas.
When I picked my son up from school on that Thursday, he kept saying 10 days, which led me to believe that every teacher in that building was talking about 10 days. See you in 10 days.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
I think it's just like a greeting. Like they walk out of various ends of
10 days.
9 days. 8 days. 7 days.
That was every morning when Kim opened her eyes. 6 more.
The countdown to school, there'll be each day a new day. a new number.
That reminds me of basic training. Because in basic training, there was always like, all right, 8 more days and a wake up, we're done, That's kind of, or when they used to say wake ups, that was like 8 more wake ups and then we're done, There was always a guy in the flight that was doing that.
Go to pick them up to be like 8 more days, 7 more days.
Yeah.
The one slightly flamboyant guy on the troop. 7 more sleeps.
Oh, the only thing like that I ever did in basic was when I get in bed at night, and like I'd be like, I'm gonna get like 5 whole hours of just laying here not having to do anything. That's delightful. And I never appreciated 5 hours of uninterrupted sleep in my life, because most nights, you know, even if nights you got an opportunity to get 7-8 hours of sleep,
right?
I'd get woken up in the middle of the night because I have to do dorm guard from like 1 to 3 in the morning. And so I never, you know, and then I'd lay down for an hour and wait, you know, 4 a.m. Time to start your day again. You know, it was a lot of those kind of things. So when they said, I don't have dorm guard tonight, it's 11 o'clock and I don't have to get up for another 5 hours. Ooh. Oh my goodness, this is going to be delightful.
I got up to go to the bathroom last night, and it was like it looked like daybreak, kind of like you kind of see light coming through my windows. I'm like, no way is it already? And went back and found my phone. It was 3 o'clock, and I was the happiest human being on the face of the planet. I'm like, yes.
or I'll get a lot of where I'll wake up because, you know, that's what you do. You go pee it 2 to 3 times a night. I'll get up and I'll look at the clock, but it doesn't register. And I'll get up and go, and in my head, I'm like, what is it, 2, 3 in the morning? I come back, it's 11:30. And I'm like, whoa, yeah, it's not even midnight yet.
So much time. All these activities.
Yeah. But I kind of glance, because I'm half blind anyway, so when I kind of look at the clock, it's not always, when I'm tired, I'm like, is that 2:50 or 10:50, 12:50? I can't tell. So it happens. But yeah, I'll have that moment like, sweet. I don't have to get up for like another 6 hours or whatever it is. You know, yeah, it's great. So
hour and a half was what it was like. That's all I need. Just one more hour and a half.
Yeah. But what more than likely happens is like when I get the good sleep, I'll wake up at like 2 minutes before the alarm's set to go.
Right.
Off, and I'm like,
yeah, but that 2 minutes would have put you in another sleep cycle. Then you would have woke up groggy.
But
and
that's
angry.
what I'm like. That's the decision I'm going. I'm like, do I just bite the bullet and get up now, or do I savor these last 2 minutes of laying here in this bed? And for a minute, I'm like, I'm going to sit here. And then 30 seconds later, no, I'm not. I'm going to get up.
One of those Skeletor short videos popped up on my phone yesterday. It was like, remember, the most dangerous game you can play is resting your eyes after the alarm goes off.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
It's true. I mean, I will, if I wake up like 4 minutes before my alarm, I will herkle-durkle, which, you know, just hang out in bed and get my bearings. You know?
But if it's a day off, wide awake, get up. Yeah, you know what I mean? You're just kind of like, I'm not getting up to do anything.
Right.
I'm literally going to go into the chair in the other room and just like sit here on my phone or watch TV.
Yeah, but that's, and maybe this is a bad like way to think of it, but I always feel like when I'm sleeping, I'm wasting time. You know, it's like if I have like a day off where I have nothing to do, I want to be conscious earlier because I can enjoy more of the free time. You know,
even if I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And I get to some of that. But then 2 in the afternoon hits, and then I'm like, all right.
If it's a Saturday, you got nothing going on, 2 p.m. is the perfect nap time.
Yeah. But that messes me up because those naps, you get that, even if you get a good deep sleep, those are the ones I wake up, I'm like, where am I? What day is it? Those are the naps.
The secret to a good...
I lose. I got to go back to work. It's lunch. You know, I forget.
I tell my friends this because my friends, their whole thing is, I love naps. But the key to a perfect nap is don't go to bed.
Yeah.
If you go to bed, it will throw your entire circadian rhythm off. Find a comfy chair and kick back.
But that's where I'm doing it. I'm in my lazy boy.
Yeah.
And I'll pass out for 20, 30 minutes, and then I wake up. I'm like, is this Wednesday, Saturday? What is today? For a full minute, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, it's lunchtime. I have to go back to work.
Like, dang it, half a day still.
It happens to me all. But those are the naps I wake up from. I'm like, what do I do with my am I alive? What am I doing?
Pinch yourself. Make sure you're still on this side of the consciousness. Just based on the way you said something just now, do you think that Snoop Dogg has a chair, a recliner in his house that's specifically used for smoking that he calls the Blazy Boy?
I would think something like that. For a man that dedicates his whole life to it, I feel like yes, that
Well, that's the thing. Everything in Snoop Dogg's house is dedicated to smoking.
Yeah, exactly. Him and, Seth Rogen, I'm going to say, is another guy that might have something like that. People that pretty much make their whole persona about weed.
Really.
Kevin Smith might even. I definitely, for a guy that never smoked it until he was like 40.
Yeah.
He sure talks a lot about it now.
It's always funny the ones that you find out are like the straight edge. Like, really? You?
Yeah, he was like back when he was making the he wasn't I think he drank, but he
was a chain smoker, cigarette smoker. As a matter of fact,
he smoked cigarettes like a chimney, but he didn't smoke weed or drink. I don't think either.
I was watching. I can't remember if it was a behind the scenes of. I think it was behind the scenes of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yeah,
and it was him and Kim Schwalbach, who's his wife, and
who's in a lot of the
who's
movies.
on like every single one of his movies, basically. But also, it was like in their like living room area, and all the furniture. Like I could smell this room. You could see the pile of butts in the ashtray, and he's just sitting there, just smoking in the middle of his house. Yeah. And he was like that was his massive vice. Yeah. For sure.
Well, in all fairness, that was every smoker's home in the 70s and 80s. It was just, like there's always that meme of the 70s, with the green shag, and the
panel wall.
And always people say, I can smell this scene. And it literally smells like stale cigarettes. And the only things missing in that photo is the yellowing on the windows.
I was going to say that stand-up ashtray.
Oh, yeah, the stand-up ashtray. That I had one of those in my dorm in the Air Force.
I think it was my grandpa had one.
Yeah, I specifically went out and sought one and found it in an antique store around. That was because as an airman, once I realized that I don't make any money, and I was like, well, I want like some furniture and stuff. So I'd literally go to thrift stores, antique stores, and I had my and pull back the curtain. My whole, like if you said I had a theme, my theme was ugly. Like if people hated it, I wanted it in my room. I'd find the ugliest lamp possible. I'd find the ugliest. Like I had, my wife remembers. Like if you looked at my shelf of collectibles, there's like some weirdly homoerotic statue that I picked up in Italy that I just put on my shelf. Some Greco-Roman wrestlers grabbing things.
Wow. All right.
I had stuff like that hanging up on the wall or displayed in my room because I was just like that. I was that guy. If you liked it, I don't want nothing to do with it. If you hated it, let me put that up on the wall.
I'm starting to understand your obsession with garbage pail kids.
I did. I liked it. I was drawn to things that other people were repulsed by. I was just not even repulsed, but just if you said that's gaudy or ugly, I'm like, yeah, that looks sweet. And then of course there was people around me that also supported this habit. And so if it was uglier, the better kind of thing. And, and there was a hot time where I had some real. I was like, yeah, it's getting really kind of just like I'm having like these dusty old Coors can from like Balloon Fiesta 1978 just sitting there on my thing and just stuff like that.
Right.
Just junk, and I'm like, all right, this is getting much.
Stuff that you thought maybe someday this will be worth something.
Not even. I got started in a bottle collection because when my grandmother had a 1940s Coke, 1 liter bottle Coke.
Okay.
That sat up in the kitchen forever. Like my whole growing up. And when she died, I was like, I want that Coke. And I got the Coke. I still have the Coke. But that started a thing of Cokes. Now I got a friend of ours went to Russia in the 80s and got a Russian Pepsi. Of course, every time I went to these foreign countries and military, I'm grabbing Cokes. So I've got about a half dozen Coke bottles from all over the world.
I used to have, Coke. And my mom, I think maybe even still has it, a glass bottle of Coca-Cola from the 1984 Olympics because their mascot was Sam the Olympic Eagle.
Yeah.
Full pull back at the curtain. My actual initials are SAM. So my mom kept that as like a commemorative thing. I think she even still has that, and it's full still to this day.
Well,
wherever it's at.
Like that, we still have that 1940s Coke in our possession. It's dang old,
that you got to shake it.
Is it separated? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's clear, and then and then you shake it, it gets back to brown.
That's cool. You've
Coke
had
color.
it so long, you invented Crystal Coke.
Where is it, by the way?
It is in our guest room in the armoire.
It is in the back of the freezer.
Yeah. No, it's in the armoire of the guest room.
Okay.
The Cokes are in
So
there.
now you know where to look when you
If you're thirsty.
when you go through the Winter's Museum. If you're feeling a bit parched.
That's right. Elliot Rodriguez is here with Loan Depot. And I'm not sure if he brought one of his loan officers. He did?
He did.
Oh, sweet. So I think it's...
Well, that or Elliot is looking a lot better these days.
Kelly Allen.
Yes.
Should be his guest with him today, his loan officer. So we'll talk with Elliot and Kelly here in just a bit from Loan Depot. But first, les weather.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be nice. Like, you're going to want to be out in it this weekend.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. Things look pretty good today. We'll be getting sunshine, high pressure settling in over the southwest for a while. Mid to upper 70s on the afternoon high. We'll dip into the upper 30s overnight and clear. A little bit more breezy on Saturday, but not bad. Lots of sunshine, and we'll warm up a little bit too. Mid 80s on the high. Just a few clouds on Saturday night, partly sunny, and 80 on Sunday. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently 47 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity is at 23%. Winds are calm. For today, sunny skies, 79 for a high. Northwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Shifting to the southwest this afternoon, but no talk of increase. So 5 to 10 today. Clear tonight, overnight low of 38. Southwest winds 5 to 10. Shifting to the northwest after midnight. Saturday, a little breezy, but not what we've been dealing with, breezy. Sunny and 86 tomorrow. Northwest winds 5 to 10 early, 15 to 20 for the afternoon. Tomorrow night, early, mostly clear, overnight low of 48 with west winds 15 to 20, gusting as high as 30. After midnight, those winds will drop down 10 to 15 miles per hour. Sunday, mostly sunny and a high near 80, northwest winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday night, cloudy with an overnight low of 43. And then next week, sunny and warm, sunny and 83 Monday. They're not really mentioning wind yet, which means methinks it's not going to be a problem. Sunny and 86 on Tuesday. Wednesday, they're talking partly cloudy and 81. And then there is a slight chance of rain talk on Thursday, about a 20% with highs around 80. Hopefully that does happen. I'll take the moisture. All right, 9:20, we're going to take about a 4-minute break, and then we're going to talk with Elliot from Loan Depot. Don't go away.
What made Roswell Hyundai the #1 used car dealership in southeastern New Mexico? Great selection, great savings, and great people. Roswell Hyundai has an amazing selection of makes, models, and model years to choose from. If you can't find it, Roswell Hyundai can get it. And Roswell Hyundai will take any trade. The experts at Roswell Hyundai will work with you to get you behind the wheel of your next dream ride. So, what makes Roswell Hyundai the #1 used car dealership in southeastern New Mexico? You do! Come check out the Used Car Supercenter only at Roswell Hyundai, 1909 West 2nd.
The need for American-made energy is forecasted to increase by over 50% over the next couple of decades. Coyote Willow Energy Park is a resilient, clean, and affordable solution to this increasing demand being planned in Chavez County. Join us at the Coyote Willow Energy Park Open House to learn more about the role Chavez County can play in meeting the need for an increased supply of reliable domestic energy. The project will provide a significant amount of new local job opportunities, millions of dollars of new local tax revenue, and local investments. Plus, it helps lower greenhouse gas emissions and improves grid reliability. It's a win for the local economy and the future of Chavez County. Stop by the Chavez County Joy Center in Roswell on March 27th between 5:30 and 8 p.m. Meet the team, ask questions, and discover how Coyote Willow Energy Park is powering a brighter future for Chavez County. Visit www.coyotewillowep.com to learn more and RSVP.
When managing a chronic illness, access to the right treatments makes all the difference. Artesia General Hospital's Infusion Center provides IV therapy and biologic treatments, so you don't have to travel far for care. Expert infusion therapy right here in Artesia. Call 575-736-8256 today to learn more.
The ultimate Wi-Fi experience is now available to you thanks to smart home Wi-Fi with Plateau. Get fiber-to-home technology 100 times faster than average household internet speed. Plateau has multiple plans and options to fit your family. With Fast, get true 100 megs per second download and upload speed. With Faster, get true 500 megs of download and upload speeds. And with Fastest, you get 1 gig. Learn more at plateautel.com. Get the speed you need with Plateau. Tried, true, trusted. Artesia Main Street is bringing the fun to downtown. On Friday, March 28th, following the main event car cruise, enjoy the Downtown Street Dance with live music from Mammoth Cults. Plus food trucks, great tunes, and an evening of nonstop fun, all with free admission. Don't miss the Downtown Street Dance with music from Mammoth Cults happening Friday, March 28th, 6:30 p.m. in the heart of downtown Artesia. Paid for by Artesia Lodgers Tax.
Hey, Roswell, need a truck? You're in luck. Now is your time to buy a new Ford truck for a lot less during Ford Truck Month at Roswell Ford. For a limited time, get massive discounts on every new Ford and quality pre-owned car, truck, and SUV, plus 0% APR for 72 months and no payments for 90 days. Attention business owners, Roswell Ford has a great selection of commercial vehicles, so we're taking care of business. Big trucks, small trucks, work trucks, we've got them all for a lot less. Making payments on your current vehicle and want out early? Roswell Ford wants to terminate your loan or lease, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. And our aggressive finance team will push to approve your credit, even if it's less than perfect. Plus, Roswell Ford offers mobile services, so our certified technicians will come to you, regardless of where you're at, for oil changes, tire rotation, batteries, recalls, and more. Contact us for details. Massive savings and a better buying experience. Get on board at Roswell Ford, 821 North Main Street in beautiful Roswell. Call 575-623-3673 or online at roswellford.com. 0 APR is 13.89 per thousand finance. Interest accrues from date of sale on select vehicles. Trade balance refinanced in loan. Subject to lender approval. Offers not to buy.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. Did you know you share your birthday with at least 9 million other people in the world? Your birthday isn't feeling so special now, is it? Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 25 minutes after 9 o'clock, and joining us in the studio this morning, of course, from Loan Depot, Elliot Rodriguez back with us. Also brought his loan officer as well, Kelly Allen. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Are you here to keep him wrangled, or how does that work?
Of course.
I know. Yeah. I mean, Elliot's the boss, but, sometimes the boss just goes,
Yeah, he needs me to keep him in line.
Off script.
Yeah.
Really. But good morning. How are you doing, Elliot?
I'm doing good.
You sound better than last month. You like you said, you had a collection of frogs going on.
Yeah, I know. Good morning, Roswell. Well, yeah, we're doing way better because now you can actually listen to me. Okay.
That's right. Crystal clear and sounding, and so much to the delight of your office workers, I'm sure.
I told Kelly, like, hey, you coming to the ready with me? Like, I need to introduce my new addition to the team.
Yes.
Like, yes.
Yeah. So tell us about Kelly, your new loan officer.
Well, Kelly used to work for J.P. Stone.
Okay.
All right. 20 years?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
20 years.
So you've been doing this a minute.
Yes.
So I was like, I need another Elliot. maybe she'll do the difference, and when it comes to as far as all the financial stuff, because that takes a while to teach.
Sure.
So it's
and it's kind of and you like some of your other folks in your office. Yeah, you got the young upstarts, folks that are getting into the industry. And you're kind of, taking them under your wing and kind of, this is the right way to do this industry and things like that. But like you said, you can't be mentor and run the full business and do it all by yourself without some other experienced employees doing it. And that's where Kelly can kind of, you can kind of turn her loose and let her go do her thing if you've got to kind of be a little more intimate with some of your newer to the industry.
Correct.
Folks.
And we're staying pretty busy, so
sure,
it's good. But yeah, you go ahead, Kelly.
So I got to ask, what made you say, it's time for, I'm sure it's not Elliot's charm that brought you over.
Well. Give me a small, tiny credit, okay?
I know the guy. He's not that charming. I'm just kidding.
See what I tell you about him? I say my sexy voice before, and he said he didn't do nothing for me.
I kid, of course. But seriously, what is it made you say, it's time for me? Especially, like I said, you've been doing this 20 years, and when you're at one place for a long time, there's got to be something that says, it's time for me to kind of change pace here.
And JP Stone really set the foundation for me. Like I said, I spent 20 years there. But just in my walk of life and with my family and my kids growing, I thought it was time for a change.
Sure.
And this is a new environment to me. Both the types of loans we do.
Sure.
But, yeah.
Well, and I mean, I'm not trying to compare businesses to this or that and better than the other and all that thing, but also.
No, but we are better. We are better.
but I wasn't going to take. It's probably in a different environment in which, Loan Depot. Yes, it's a major, nationally known, internationally known organization or company.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, its business model is mom and pop. You guys, you know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas I don't think that's quite the model at JP Stone. So, you know what I mean? There's a little, and sometimes that different environment is, as an employee, I can imagine, because there's probably, there's always protocols and rules and everything else. But when it's more Mayberry-esque, I'm saying that in a good way, like where you could literally walk in, hey, bud, that's up. They're my loan officer, you're my agent, talk and have that kind of relationship. It does make what can be very confusing in the world of what you guys do a lot easier. And that's kind of, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It does make sense, yeah.
Nothing against it, but it's like walking in a corporate bank kind of thing whereas this is a little different. I mean, yes, very professional, all of those, everything you're wanting professionally, but at the same time, it doesn't feel stodgy. It doesn't feel like you gotta, like when you go to church and you just sit up, you know what I mean? It doesn't have that feel to it.
No.
Does that make sense?
It does.
What I'm saying?
Banking is a very different industry for sure. And I mean, of course, I learned a lot there, but now I'm excited to learn more here.
Sure. So you get a chance to kind of get more personal.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, get to where
Absolutely.
you're a more personal level with customers and clients and things like that.
When I talk to her, I mean, I come from the same environment, so.
Because you were in the same world prior to coming in onto your own, so to speak.
So I kind of know, how it is. I mean, in banking, it's really crazy. I mean, you do a lot of jobs. You have a lot of hats.
A lot of hats.
And like you said, both of you guys have, and you've got in the 20 plus ballpark too in years of experience on this stuff. So both of you have seen all the change, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the real. You mean the goofiness, the busts, and these adjustable rate loans,
all the craziness,
the bankruptcies, the Fannie Mae's. You guys were in the industry through all of that,
yes.
And so you really, literally, either directly or indirectly, have seen the good, the bad, the ugly of this stuff. And at the time, you're just crazy. But now, as you've gone through it, now this is where your experience can work for other people. So, like, you guys can tell when something's legit versus something that's, all right, this is got shady written all over.
I know. I remember, sometimes some clients tend to be like very nasty to the people at the bank.
Sure.
I remember I felt like I was the security guard. And like, I'm only 5'5".
Sure.
I mean, so.
But there was some real sales pitches going on that were very too good to be true. And anybody that had experience in the world saw this coming. But people that were looking for opportunities that weren't getting houses, I get it. But the grass ain't greener if you're you can afford it now, but if you don't have a plan for a year from now, it's not going to be that beneficial here. And so this is what I'm talking about is now you guys can sit, and so since between you two, you've seen, there ain't much that's gone by that you haven't seen at this point. So you kind of,
we were saying the same very
thing this morning.
But you can put that to work now through Loan Depot, and this is kind of, Ellie and I have talked about every time you come in, Loan Depot. Because the way this company was founded, it's basically a bunch of people like yourselves that were in the industry, maybe probably a little higher in the pecking order, more on the doling out money side of things, but you know what I mean. People have been doing it, and they were kind of like, why are we doing it this way every time? Why do we, there's a better way to do this. And so it literally was built, by people that are looking for a better way to a new wheel, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so Loan Depot's kind of adopted that model, and it's been embraced, and really a company that was just a startup that no one heard of several years ago is now in the top tiers of loan industries and in the world right now. So
the CEO before, which became a chairman, now he's back to take the roles again.
Yeah.
You know, as an executive officer. You know, I think he's like, this is my baby. I cannot be
I was
out.
about to say it's probably a board of control freaks up there.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, but I like what
they don't want to let go of the strings. Yeah.
Well, the thing that I like that what he said, you know, in the last meeting that he was, you know, talking, is that he's like, I mean, let's be honest. He doesn't need that job. I mean,
that's the thing.
One person that can say, "I don't need this job,"
go to the island really and sip pina coladas the rest of their life, and not care what happens.
And I love what he said. It's like, I just want to make an impact, you know. And I don't bet you money is because it's his baby, you know. And that's kind of the way I look at, you know, here in Roswell, the branch that I open. I mean, that's like my baby, you know. So it's not only about coming to work or anything like that. It's more about taking care of people. Well, and lately it's being a little crazy, to say the least. But you know,
well, and this is the whole lending game. You know, if you want to call it that, it's all about boxes and how you check them. It doesn't matter, you know. And this is the thing. This is why I tell you when Elliot comes on every month, and we're like, I don't care what your job is. It's not about how much you bring in. It's how you spend what you bring in. And if you do that correctly, and that's where, and this is where. You know, Elliot and I'm sure Kelly are going to do is they take the time to say, all right. Whereas you walk into the more corporate place, they'll be like, look, the numbers don't jive. Good luck to you.
That's exactly right.
You know?
Yeah.
Whereas you come in and they're like, all right, right now these numbers aren't jiving, no matter how much. And I'm trying, but here. Let me build you a platform here, create a foundation. You know, all right, let's do this, and move this, and consolidate this, or whatever. You know. Each case is going to be different.
A lot of times is you have to uncover all the stones to figure out what you can do to help somebody.
Sometimes it's a dumb $30 Amazon thing that you did. That's basically the monkey in the wrench here. And so then you're like, okay, we figured it out. Now let's do this. And come back in 6 months, and your credit score is going to be 100 points higher. And guess what? We're going to and I'm telling you, once the number goes up, the more opportunities open. You know, the more you know, it's very weird. And so that's the game. That's the big game. It's not that you're a millionaire. It's just you got to show proof that you're not being too frivolous with your money.
I got you.
You know, it's all about what you're spending it on. And here's the thing. The things like when I was young, they were telling me aren't necessarily applying today. You know, they used to say things like you got to establish credit, and that's true. Things like you have. But then they would say, like, get a credit card and then not use it or pay a little bit on it. And I was like, yeah, but nowadays, if you just have credit cards with no debt on it, that's not necessarily a good thing either. The rules have changed now and all this stuff. So even us, you know, salt and peppered seasoned people, some of the information you may trust is tried and true.
And a lot of
changed.
And a lot of things are changing right now. So, I mean, folks, if you're thinking about buying a house, don't hesitate.
Yeah.
You know, get with us.
It's back to what you say every time. It's not, if you're waiting for the environment the right time, you're going to be waiting forever.
That's right.
You got to wait till when you need a house.
Yeah, it's a mistake. I hear a lot of people hear this a lot. Oh, let me wait until the market gets better because everybody keeps talking about the Fed's going to adjust the interest rates and this and that. The fact of the matter is they did, and they didn't make any changes, you know, to the market in the schemes of things as far as the interest rate.
Sure.
It's going to take time for the system to kind of heal itself.
Absolutely.
And adjust, you know, and
it's
and
like
if they
cut,
do,
you know, you cut it. You don't wake up next morning and
I know.
no more. It's going to look a little better, but it's you know what I'm saying. And after a month or whatever, depending on your
well, the cool part about it now, guys, you know, especially in our area, you know, we service the whole entire state of New Mexico, of course. You know, she already told me she likes Texas too. So
all right.
So
y'all come down here.
The fact of the matter is now I have a team of 5.
Good.
So it's not a team of 1 any longer.
So the people have been yelling at you because Elliot has got spread himself too thin. You're like, I heard you.
I don't know. I'm even
picking it up a little bit.
to be honest, I don't even know how I did it these past 2 years. You know, for the past year and a half, it's been a little better, but it's still kind of climbing more. That it's like, well, whoa, you know, you know, she's going to make a difference.
And this is the difference, and you know this. It's people that have the passion and care for what they do and are doing it. You're always going to be busy.
There's never in your head you're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna have 27 employees, and I could just sit here and mark
tell
orders.
me that. Yeah.
Never, that will never happen. You can have 30 employees, but there's gonna be you still with the same workload because that's the difference between loving your job and just getting a paycheck, and that's really, and this is in a world where in the finance industry there's so many people taking a paycheck thinking they're going to do this to the next bigger, better thing. They're going to be the guy with the cigars and the expensive cognacs in the rooms, with a lot of mahogany and whatever that image is. Harumphing around.
I know, I got you. Tell us a little about you, Kelly. We want to know you, a little more about you. And why us? Why Lone Depot?
Well, I've grown up in Roswell, so I've been here my whole life.
Sure.
My parents and my sister and we lived on a small little farm and just had a close family.
So grew up ranching, farming and ranching life as a child.
Yes.
Cool.
I started out, my first job was at a real estate company as a receptionist.
Okay.
I actually had my realtor's license at 18.
So you started on the other side of the fence here
yes.
and came over
from
the house picking to the lending side.
Yes, and I love the lending side. This is where I want to be. To the dark side.
I know. In banking, the lending side is the dark side. I don't know why they call it that, but that's okay. Because we bring the light to everybody.
Wait, you're the guy with the axe. I mean, you're the guy. I mean, at the end of the day, you're with the execution. You're the one in the hood walking in with or another reference. You're the Caesar with the thumb up or the thumb down there on the. But yeah, so you got into real estate and said, because I would imagine and you learned from that perspective the life lessons of, and this is what we talk about every time. Is look, especially first-time home buyers, because usually after you've done your first one, you learned this lesson already. But first-time home buyers, when you're interested in buying a home, the first conversation is not with a real estate agent. The first conversation is with someone like you guys, because if you're going to the real estate agent first, you really have no knowledge. Even if you think you know, you don't know exactly what your market is. Like if you could, and also, and this is where I get back to we're talking to guys like Elliot and Kelly here at Lone Depot, is just because you qualify for a number doesn't mean that's the number you should shoot for. When they give you a number, they're taking your thing and they're saying, look, if you have no other bills or no other expenses other than what you got now, and you want to buy a house right now, this is what you can afford. But if you want to get new stuff for this house or, evolve a little bit, guess what? Your income's going to be. So that's where you talk to them and say, look, really, yes, you qualify for $300,000 here. But ideally, to keep the lifestyle you want and keep in the way, you should be looking for a $200,000 house or something like that. And so most places aren't going to tell you that because they ain't making money by saving you money. And so that's where you guys sit down and say, no. And this is the point that Elliot makes every time. I'm not trying to sell you a house today. I'm trying to, be your partner for life. So when your life changes and you're ready to go bigger or go smaller, depending on what part of life you're in, I want me to be the first call you make when those moments in life happen. And that's and the only way you do that is being square dealing with people, being honest, especially people that aren't knowledgeable in the end. And that's why this is intimidating, because as we say, it's the most amount of money, I don't care
anybody's
how many times you do
spend,
it. People sweat bullets when they're closing paperwork on houses. Just like, that's a lot of zeros. You know what I mean? And so it's intimidating. And when you have someone saying, when they're really literally holding your hand through the process here, that it takes the scary and intimidating to like, oh man, this is what I was worried about. Okay. And now you're in the game. And now the world's your oyster. And this is why we get talking about if you need a house, doesn't matter what interest rates are.
Right.
The only time you're playing that game is if you're already in the game. And you got a house and you're in good shape and you're like, I don't need to move. But if something comes out there a little better, I might hold out a little bit. That's when you can say, I'm going to wait a year and see if interest rates drop, when you're already in the game. Yeah. But if you're needing a house, you need a house.
How long did you do the real estate?
I did it about 3 or 4 years. So yeah, I didn't have that passion that I do for the mortgage industry. And I think it's because I want to help the people that I shop with,
Sure.
that's my neighbors, just everyday people that are intimidated by this.
Yeah.
And everybody's in a different season of life, and I like to be able to help them and see them be successful.
And when it comes to all the home stuff, 9 times out of 10, the people that things are sweating about, it's all the financial end,
right?
Gotcha.
Even if it's like passing inspections and all that, it's because no one's going to give you the money on a house that isn't going to not fall down.
I was reading Kelly's resume, and I tell my boss, dude, that's almost even look better than mine. Okay.
Got a little resume jealousy over there.
I was looking. I was like, you remember?
You should put yours on the wall.
Right? Frame it.
So I was talking to him, to him, it's like, dude, I should have gone to West Point. At least I would have had West Point in mind. I should have finished it, But then I was after I've talked to her and I was listening to her and I told her what I'm trying to do is the part that kind of completely click.
Yeah.
So it was from one day to another that we kind of connected,
Sure.
So I know her, but we didn't know each other.
Sure.
So.
But you knew the quality of her work and the reputation, and that's in the industry. That's everything.
And that's another thing about what I do. Is whole reputation. What we do, we don't want to be like I'm not known for. That's the place that you don't deliver. We deliver. And that's a big deal, and that's not just a Loan Depot thing. That's just me personally.
Well,
the way I feel about what we do for everybody.
And at the end of the day, that's where when it comes to where you go to get the money you need to get whatever you're doing, the thing. That's why this side of it is the more important thing, because at the end of the day, interest rates are interest rates. Numbers are numbers. Right. If you've got the numbers, anyone will give you whatever you want. It's when the numbers aren't perfect, which is 99.99% of us.
Gotcha.
None of us ain't rolling in with 800 credit scores, ready to, you see those commercials where they take the plant and all that. Like, they got their 800 credit score. That desk is nice. Load her up. I mean, it's not that, but I mean, most of us aren't that, and that's where you guys really come in, and that's what it's about. It's talking. It's we bringing the human side of the numbers to the
there you go, because we want to be different than everybody else. I mean, everybody look at people like numbers, So when I even tell her, like, when we met and we had I don't think she was expecting me to ask her so many questions.
We were just having lunch.
And she I don't think she expected that I was going to ask her that many questions, But the one thing I tell her is, like, check us out. Check the company,
Sure.
And obviously a company not only, but what I do here in town, what we've been trying to accomplish.
Well, and I'm going to take a stab that someone with your resume, you could probably walk in any lending institution door and they're going to throw you a job offer. Take a stab.
I think so.
So I asked.
Even though Loan Depot is nationwide and you think of this big corporate company, it's not. It's just this family friendly. You can walk in, you feel comfortable with whoever you're talking to, whether it's here in Roswell or across the country.
Sure.
It just feels like home.
It kind of, this is something, Elliot's kind of been doing this a while here, but for you, explain, working under the umbrella of Loan Depot. You know what I mean? Because their rules are different than probably what you've been dealing with in your previous companies and things.
I mean, and keep this in mind, she's just beginning. So
right, so she's
just learning,
but just like
Loan Depot's way.
First, initial instincts or initial
impressive.
Thought.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
The company is so impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, Elliot has been so welcoming since we started talking. But I got a call my first day from the regional director in Albuquerque, and that meant a lot to me because he personally called to welcome me. No matter, he took the time out of his day.
Whereas at his level, you're
right.
you're like granted you're not because of your experience, but you're literally just a brand new employee to the fold. Like walking in also. It's my first day at the counter here. Kind of you're that level in essence, and this one's a few higher up on the chain here, and they're checking down at that. Like, that's not their level of work.
Exactly.
Is what I'm trying to point out here.
And I know we putting her on a spot, but it's just I want to kind of get a little more of a feedback about all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, tell me a little more about that, because
he's interviewing again. While
he is. I know. I'm like, what are we doing?
Your interview on the show is really more him interviewing.
We want to know more. I want to know more. No.
Any other questions like me?
No, let me tell you something, because the fact, see, there is something that is very important to me, and what I'm being trying to accomplish is I don't want to be the status quo to everybody else. I want our team to be totally different than everybody else, and the company has the platform for it.
Sure.
And that's why I'm putting I was talking about that. All my staff, they have different skills and different things that is putting something together very good. So to hear a little more feedback from you,
basically he's taking notes and because this is because obviously with both of y'all, on a level of experience are right there neck and neck.
Mm-hmm.
And the paths he went down are different than the paths you went down. So I'm imagining between that, your collaborative brains, it's like the super brain of, all right, let's
do this, let's do that.
I just don't work this way. Or, what, I've had experience work this way if we do it this way. And you're like, oh, okay, let's try that. You know what I mean? Like, there's probably things that you had failed, succeed your way and vice versa, and you're like, okay, well, but if we did it this way instead of this way. And then I guess that's what I mean is kind of you guys, where Elliot's the thing, but in essence, it is a little bit of a two-headed monster.
Right. And I kind of feel like we've already kind of melded a little bit with our ideas. I mean, because of course I'm learning a lot, but I think I do, with my experience can bring some different aspect of that. And I think we've already connected on that a little bit.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. The learning is, we're here to fix the smoke detector. You think chirping at your house is bad? Wait till you get to a radio station and it's chirping. Susie's like, he's going for batteries. I know.
No, I was really asking her not too long ago, how come us? How come Lone Depot? And why she give me the chance?
Sure.
To be her boss.
Like you said, you could have gone in other places. Why did you hang out with me?
And it just all boils down to it does feel like home. Like just researching the company before I even accepted the offer, it just all felt like home.
Sure.
And you made me feel so welcome. And then
that's a big deal.
It is. And this is a little interesting. I'm the only female in the office. So
you gotta bring some class to that room.
She was just talking just a little while ago about a mirror in the wall.
Yeah, I was like, there's no mirrors in this office.
I'm thinking, is there any decor, or was it just like boxes?
It's okay.
like there's like a TV and a beanbag chair.
They have done a great job with the decorations,
but now the colors will match.
Now we have a female touch. I started thinking, it's like, if I hire another guy and then he has a beard, shoot, I'm gonna have to grow a beard here. There's too much testosterone in here. Everybody got beards, and I'm the only one with the gold teeth. It's like, and I told my wife, I asked her.
Well, Ellie, do you have a ladies' room now at least?
Yeah, we do have a ladies' room.
Okay,
there is one
there. No, but I was asking my wife, and she goes, no, the gold teeth. I'll let you shave it one time, but it needs to grow back up. But like no beard. It's like, but everybody got beard in my office. So okay, finally, let me bring the women in here. So no, but we're glad to have her. Yeah. We're glad to have her. So.
And they've all been very welcoming, and they just accept me as like one of the guys. So
good,
it's great.
Hey, she'll start behaving themselves. They walk in like,
no, not at all.
She told me she can play poker.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Watch this guy.
Okay, she can play poker, and she don't mind hot.
Take all his money.
So like, don't have wins,
Yeah.
So.
Do any of your other guys play poker? Some of the other
all the guys are into
all
of it. They like all the stuff. It's like,
man,
they probably like it more than I do. So
go in there, and clean house.
Oh, I would.
I know they might be nice, like be a little nice before.
Right? They won't invite me next time.
I can see this like we trying to be a nice decor about it. It's like, okay, I'm gonna take her money. Oh, shoot. maybe I don't.
Right.
No,
learn his tells.
No, but the team is growing, and we're about to take it to the next level.
But it sounds like it's really coercing into like a big, and that's the key, because there's going to be days, and as your other guys get more experience under your wing, so to speak, and you can kind of
be more hands off on them as they progress. That's the idea, anyway.
I'm almost gonna start doing like the eagles to push them out of the den nest and fly.
But that's gonna leave it to where basically, where quite frankly, like you have a customer base, and you always go to their needs. That's why you guys are working at 6 at night or whenever, because when they are free. But you all do have lives. There, you have families. You like to do things that are, not related to this.
I'm not sure about Elliot.
But
I don't feel like I have a
saying,
life.
Dare I say, is you might be able to go, go to Rio Doso for the weekend, or you know what I mean? Just live a life.
Well, that's the idea.
Yeah.
There was this thing that I was watching one time and it said, the only way you could become rich is to multiply yourself. But that's crazy. Unless I go and freaking, clone myself, how am I going to do that?
I saw that Multiplicity movie.
Right?
It was fun for a minute.
Yeah, it doesn't work out very
all the time.
So the clone of the clone came in and we got from.
And it doesn't work out the way it's supposed to. But the idea is
Did you bring me a monkey?
No, I know. Like it's Steve, pizza. But the thing is this though: if you have the right people working with you and you have the right team put together, we can accomplish anything.
Yep.
Okay, and that's
Absolutely.
the goal, and that is the goal.
Yeah.
And
what I love is your young guys; they're going to learn the industry the right way. And so
I'm trying to.
Yeah.
And so
They're going to be great.
That's my goal.
That's the part is, and so but this is what I love about that, because like you said, you're trying to, obviously you're trying to make your nugget now, and this is where Kelly comes in, because at the end of the day, you got a business to run, and this isn't a
we're still a business in the end of the day.
This ain't financial college. Business.
And there's a lot of things that all of us need to learn. And the cool part about it is that I learned things from all of them too, just the same.
But you're also, as opposed to where maybe you guys came up in the corporate world learning some of these things, and so some of the habits and some of the things that it took time for you to say, oh, that's a bad thing and not the way you should do things.
Right.
And so these folks aren't getting that from it. They're getting the right way. And then, when life hands them opportunities, and they will, they may realize that, that grass isn't as green, you know what I mean? And say maybe, and who knows, when Elliot and you guys said, we're going to retire, these might be the ones running that Lone Depot office here now. You know what I mean?
I know, like who's going to take over?
Yeah, because at some point you guys are going to go drink pina coladas on
Eventually.
At least that's the end game.
I just to say, like, I'll work in the background, and I won't be so active. Like, you're right.
Well, that's just it. If you're in the building, you're going to be all up in it.
Yeah.
It's just, I know
It's
you,
so
like
true.
I know me, and I know people that when you're into something, that's how they act.
Let's put it like this. It was 8 o'clock last night.
Yeah.
I wasn't at my house.
Yeah.
But the point is, I'm trying to get to the point that I don't have to do that,
Well,
and
your wife's going to put more bricks in that purse.
Yeah.
That purse will get heavier when she knocks upside your head with it.
No, but at least now we have a team.
Yes.
And now we got the true base, to...
You kind of got a system. You're kind of a well-oiled machine. The learning curves of opening your own office are kind of we learned them, and now we're, you know what I mean. We're kind of you're kind of getting into your groove, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm trying to get there.
Good deal. Yeah. So I just saw the time, so we better start telling people how to get a hold of you if you're ready. And this is the thing: if you're thinking about buying a house and maybe it's time to make, and I don't care. Or if you're paying the rent and you're paying, it's like, man, I'm paying $1,000 a month in rent. Guess what? You can pay $1,000 less than that in a mortgage, and all that
and
comes back.
Yours.
And so if you can afford a rent check that's $1,000 a month, you can get in a house. We can get you in a house. So please reach out to Elliot and his team here at Lone Depot. You can call direct at the office number, which is 505-445-2070. You can call Elliot on his cell direct, which has usually been the easier way, but now they've got a staff. You call the office number, but you can reach out to him directly, 719-237-4680. You can also check out his website, which is www.lonedepot.com, and then add a / Elliot Rodriguez, all one word. Elliot spells his Elliot with one L and a Z at the end of his Rodriguez. So, and then of course email, same deal. It's Elliot Rodriguez, all one word with the one L, the Z, at lonedepot.com to shoot an email here.
That's correct.
Really? I would say, do you have a direct link as well that they can get a hold of you, Lori?
Yeah. So my cell phone number is 575-626-1461.
Okay.
And then the website is loandepot.com/Kelly Allen.
Okay.
And it's Kelly with an I.
And an Allen with two L's.
Allen with two L's and an E.
There you go. And an E. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, like
I know I was killing her name.
Is that how Tim Allen spells his?
Oh,
yes.
I think Tim Allen spells his Allen.
Two L's and
I
an
was
E.
killing. I was killing her name for the whole week.
Yeah. Well, there's Allen the first name, Alan.
Yeah.
And then Allen usually last name is All.
Yeah, she got two. She got two first names. No, but our staff is there. We got a good team, you know, and the guys are
better yet, just come down to the office.
Yeah,
here.
come and
The
visit
office
us
on 204 West 2nd is the
Yes.
actual address, no, Suite 5.
Yes.
There. And go on down and pop in for a visit. Then you can meet the rest of the team or just so happen to catch one of these two at their desk doing their thing.
They're younger and better looking than me, guys. So come and see them. So, no, you know what, folks? Don't be afraid. If you're paying attention, the market's getting better.
Let's
Okay.
have a conversation.
Yeah, let's have a conversation. Well, we'll tell you what you can and cannot do, and we'll tell you what you need to do so we can get there.
And I'm telling you, once you're in the game, your financial situation will get better because every time you're paying that rent, now it's going back to you. You're building equity, and after a year or two, you've got a couple grand sitting there that if you know what I mean, that's how this works, and that's the game. You buy this house to build up to get the next house. That's really how this.
That's truly
the
really
process.
is.
That's
Yes.
really how it is. So let them get your foot in the door here. So, well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
I know since the cats are away, the mice might be playing. So
they're playing all right.
Well, let's get back to the office here. But thank you. Welcome, and
Thank
we'll see
you.
you here next month. I'm assuming too. Now I got to get your card. When's your card?
When they come in, I will get you one.
So now Ellie didn't get all the shine when I get all the numbers. But thank you guys.
No, thank you for having us.
Anytime. All right, it is 9:59. I was going to say, do I have time? I don't even have time to play anything. So it is going to wrap us up for today's show. If you missed any part, I invite you to go back to our website. You can check it out at your leisure. Log on to ksvptv.com. Click on the Mornings with Mike Winters channel, and you'll find all of our interviews. And then if you give Jocelyn a minute, here in about 45 minutes, all our interviews from today will be separated from the main portion, and you can go and find them there individually. Otherwise, you're going to have to siphon through 3 hours of content and me doing a lot of dumb jokes. So get in there. We got to go. You're listening to 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM, KEND, or Roswell, New Mexico. Have a great weekend, everybody.
John Scott. The Speaker of the U.S. House says it's a new day in America politically, thanks to President Donald Trump. On the Salem News program This Week on Capitol Hill with Tony Perkins, Louisiana Congressman Mike Johnson indicates that's the feedback he's getting as he honeycombs the nation.
Yeah, all over the country, everywhere we go, Tony, there's euphoria. I mean, people are excited, and I mean, from your average voter to moms and dads who are now feeling freedom again. You got business owners at every level, large and small, making decisions to expand business, and they know that help is on the way and it's already begun, and they feel good about it. There's a real sense of excitement, patriotism, and it's a fun thing to go out and talk about and share on the campaign trail.
Speaker Johnson's full interview will be broadcast starting